I have now survived a total of 500 days in my hardcore Cobblemon world. During this time, I've built awesome projects, created unbeatable teams, caught many legendaries, and much more. So today I decided to compile it all into one video for you to enjoy. So grab your snacks, sit back, relax, and enjoy the full movie. Alright, we're in. Let's instantly start by looking at the starter options. This pack adds custom starters like Cosplay, Lumia, and Palette. To be honest, the Bagon from the Lumia starters does interest me a little bit, but I already have decided what I want, and that is Chimchar. Let's go ahead and throw him out, take a look. Oof, I love Chimchar. Now let's see what we get. So we get a backpack, so we'll be able to store a lot of stuff. Nice. Pokedex, I hope you all know what Pokedex says. Orange berries, Pokeballs, and a first gym map. Now this mod pack has gyms, and we are currently level capped until we beat the first gym. Once we beat that gym, our level cap will increase, so then we'll have to beat the next gym, and so on. This Cobbleverse guide, but probably not going to need that. And luckily, our first objective was going to be to find a village, but as you can see, we have literally spawned inside of one, which is great. Now let's see if there's any decent loot in here. Okay, so there's some Pokeballs. That's always nice to get Pokeballs. Honeycomb, I don't really think I'll be needing that. And before I forget, let's just take a bed. Now what's so great about finding a village literally off spawn is not only do we get to obviously loot some stuff, get some good stuff like XP candies to give us a head start, but also there's a Poke Center here, which means we'll obviously be able to heal our Pokemon. Another XP candy, and luckily enough there's a blacksmith. Oh my, there's literal blocks of raw iron. An anvil. Oh dude, this is great. We've got ourselves a nice little stone pickaxe. We can use that to mine the iron outside. That is so convenient. Some decent held items here as well, like Mystic Water. That's pretty good. Alright, we got an Apricot Sprout. If you don't know what that is, that's what we're going to be able to use to grow Apricot trees, which give us Apricorns, which we're then going to be able to use to create Pokeballs. Our inventory is already filling up. Let's just dump everything into our backpack. Then let's go ahead and mine this up. And that gives us a total of 39 raw iron. Let's grab these anvils as well, because that's just going to save a lot of iron down the line, isn't it? Even a bit of coal here as well. Now, as you can see, I have just been put in a random battle with a guy called Gambler. So what this is there's a mod which adds random trainers which spawn all throughout the world, which we'll just be able to battle. But yeah, I think we actually might be able to win. Level 5 Ekans versus my level 5 Chimchar, I have faith. Okay, never mind. I did a whopping 15% damage. But as I've said, what's so good about us being here is there's a Poke Center right there, so even if we lose this, we can just heal up perfectly fine. You know what, I kind of want to win so bad that let me just use a potion on him, just so we can win. I cannot lose our first battle. How embarrassing is that, to lose our first trainer battle? Okay, we might even lose, even though we've used a potion. Do we use another? Yeah, screw it, why not? Use a hyper potion. And there we go, we won our first battle and we instantly get to level 7, which I'm fairly sure now Chimchar knows a fire move, which is going to make stuff a lot easier for us. Alright, let's go ahead and get our Pokemon healed up and also loot this Poke Center while we're at it. Right, now we can't grab those healers, but we can actually just take this PC because this doesn't break when we pick it up. A Dawnstone, that's a pretty nice evolution item to come across. And another Ice Stone. Okay, this place has loads of evolution items, that's well good. It's most likely going to save us a lot of time in the long run. And you know what, just because I can, let me swap out this orange bed for this red bed. There's also a Pokemon here, let's check this out. Can we sell stuff? Okay, so we can't sell stuff, it doesn't seem like, but can buy stuff for this money in the bottom right. Alright, the Pokemon's been looted. It mainly just gave us some Pokeballs, but you can't complain about that. Now, I've just dumped everything in my backpack. So this is what we got from looting the village. I'm going to want to smelt this iron up. And I'll probably use these XP candies as well. Right, now we do have these XP candies, so I'm just going to put them straight on Chimchar, see what level we can get them to. And just like that, we got into level 12. That is amazing. This village just gave us such a big head start. Alright, let's go ahead and just get ourselves some cobblestone so we can make a furnace and smelt up this iron. We can go ahead and make our furnaces, and there's actually custom wood crafting benches in this. That is quite cool. Alright, let's get this all loaded up into the furnaces. Now, while that's smelting, let me go ahead and get this gym map out. So this is going to be where the first gym is, somewhere over there or something. Now, the first gym is, if you didn't know, is Brock. He is a rock type leader. I think he has about 3, maybe 4 Pokemon. And right now, Chimchar, the fire type, isn't going to be able to do much. So we're going to need to evolve him into Monferno, which is fighting type, which does have a type advantage against rock. And not just that, we're probably going to need to catch 1 or 2 Pokemon as well. So while this furnace is going, let's go ahead and look for a Pokemon. Now what we could actually do is go into this water just over here, because obviously water has a type advantage against rock, so that would be an easy way to get a good Pokemon for the gym. There is a Psyduck over here. That could be a decent Pokemon to use for this. Let's go have a look what level it is. It is level 19, so that is under the level cap, so we may as well try. Alright, and that did not work, so let's go ahead and try with a Great Ball instead to boost our luck a little bit. Ow, this Psyduck has a big problem with me. Now, I could try battle this Psyduck, but I don't think Chimchar's going to stand much of a chance, but you know what, it's better than nothing. Now, we did also pick up that Mystic Water item, where is it over here, so... Okay, we got absolutely one-shotted. So it'd be even better if we got a water type, because we would be able to boost their damage a bit. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, there we go, Psyduck. Welcome to the team. Alright, so let's go ahead and throw this Psyduck out and hand him this Mystic Water. Alright, now our Pokemon are healed. Let's go ahead and actually check out the natures of our Mons. So, on Chimchar, that is a pretty poor nature because it's hindering its speed, and that's not great. But on Psyduck, we actually do have a perfect nature, so that is pretty good. Alright, let's go back to our iron, and hopefully it's all done. And there we go, it is. Beautiful. So what we can do with that is we can create some tools, but we could also create our armor. There we go, looking pretty good if I do say so myself. Now let's craft ourselves some tools. Really, we should just need a pickaxe, an axe, and a shovel. And let's mine this all back up, and then we can be on our way. Right, let's start making our way towards this first gym. So it looks like we're going to have to cross water for this, so let's go ahead and craft ourselves a boat. Let's go ahead and set off. Okay, dude, this Sharpedo seriously has a big problem with me for some reason. Look at him. Alright, we finally made it back to some land. The Sharpedo's still chasing me, but I'm not bothered. Let's check how far away we are. Okay, so it looks like we actually overshot it a bit. There it is, there's the gym. Alright, Sharpedo, go away now. Just give me my boat, dude. Oh my... That is so much damage, dude. Oh, Jesus, it can come on land. I didn't think it would be able to come on land. I think what I need to do is make a beeline for the door and then block it off. Alright, let's go. There we go. Okay, we're safe. Let's go ahead and sleep. Alright, and here we are in the gym. There's actually a... What's this called again? I can never remember. But this can actually be some training before the gym. A Burmy, that's what it's called. This is perfect for our Chimchar right before the gym. Get a couple extra levels, maybe 1 or 2. Alright, boom, there we go, level 14. That actually means we can go ahead and evolve our Chimchar into Monferno. Alright, boom, that is awesome, and that lets him, I think, learn the move Mach Punch, which is going to be absolutely perfect for this. And if you didn't know, Mach Punch is a priority move, meaning it will always go first. And I'm not going to lie, Brock, I'm also going to steal your coal because I'm kind of broke. Oh wow, we also have, what is this, an Ice Stone? A Water Stone. Alright, Brock, are you ready? Oh, dude, the Sharpedo just sat there waiting for me. Alright, let's go. So he leads with Geodude, that's fine. Mach Punch. Only does 25% damage. Oh, jeez. Dude, it almost one-shot me. We might be a bit underprepared here, but I kind of have faith Psyduck can sweep this. Let's see. Okay, he got rid of the Geodude. I'm fairly sure all of his Pokemon have Sturdy, though. Or at least most. Dude, that is a lot of damage. Yeah, I think we might have lost here. I'm not going to lie. Okay, 3% health. Yeah. I don't think... Yeah, we're going to get absolutely destroyed. Alright, that was a pitiful first attempt, to say the least. But to be honest, I didn't expect him to have 4 so highly leveled Pokemon. I probably should have realized that, considering the level cap's 25, so I probably should have considered that level 14 and 19 Pokemon weren't going to be enough. Dude, I actually just don't know what to do about this Sharpedo. Get out. Alright, that is going to be a future me problem. I'm just going to try run away, hopefully. Oh, dude. Okay, I think we maybe trapped him a little bit. Alright, anyway, let's move on and look for another Pokemon to catch. Now, this Cottony would be decent, but it's level 27, not 27, 26, which is over the level cap. Okay, we got ourselves a yellow Apricorn Sprout. That's pretty nice. Now, we could go catch another Psyduck, but nah, that's pretty lame, isn't it? There's a Hoppip just here, but it's only level 3, but we're going to kill it for the XP. I think along with having another Pokemon, we do also just need to level up Monferno, because it's quite low level. Good, level 25. That could be a perfect Pokemon to get. It's super effective, and it's right on the level cap. Alright, let's go ahead and see if we can get it. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Boom. And that instantly got Monferno to level 16 as well. That is great. Now, I'm fairly confident in our team now. I think we just need to get a couple more levels on Monferno, then I'm completely ready to go. So let's start with this Wooloo and just spam Mach Punch until it dies. Yes, there we go. Alright, how much XP does that give us? A level 18 straight away like that. Okay, that's pretty good. And we got a normal Terror Shard as well. Alright, I'm pretty confident in our team now. Where is the Sharpedo? Is it despawned? I think it has. That's perfect. Rock, I'm sorry, I would fix your gym, but I think one of the pieces of white concrete just went missing. Alright, anyway, I know it hasn't been long. Let's go ahead and heal our Pokemon, but I think I'm pretty confident we can beat him now. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll lead with Mach Punch again and see. Yes, dude, that is literally... Oh, it's a crit hit, but still. That's still so much more damage than it was last time. And we were able to actually tank a bulldoze. And it doesn't matter if speed fell because Mach Punch has priority and we should kill it anyway. Let's go. He's sent out Onyx, so I'm probably going to need to switch here. No, I think I should just let Monferno die. Get one Mach Punch in and then let it die. Alright, there we go. Let's come in with Psyduck, and I think Psyduck will be able to one-shot this with one Water Pulse. Okay, he almost one-shot us, but that's fine. Water Pulse, and yep, Onyx down. He's bringing next. Cranidos, that's the one. Let's go for another Water Pulse. Takedown. Oh, he took us out with a takedown. It's fine. We still got level 25 Girder to come in. We forgot to change the moves on Girder, so he doesn't have any fighting moves. So I'm just going to use Bulk Up and hope for the best. Set up a little bit, and then hopefully Slam can carry us. Alright, let's be cheeky. Go for one more Bulk Up. Their attacks are literally doing nothing to me because I've had so many Bulk Ups. And now we should just be able to Slam him. Yeah, there we go. One more Slam. Oh, he's a full restore. Wow. Alright, that's Cranidos down. He has one last Pokemon. What's his last Pokemon? Bonsley. Okay, that makes sense. Last hit. And there we go. Brock has been defeated. That was a pretty close battle, but mainly just because we made the mistake of not changing the moves on Girder. Still haven't found Misty. Her gym's out in the lukewarm ocean. Thanks for the tip, my friend. So he gave us Headbutt TM. That's decent. The Boulder Badge and a, what is this? A badge box. There we go. So we put our first badge in there. And where did this villager go? Could you sell me the Misty map? You do. But in order for me to get it, I need a Cerulean Star. And an empty map. Empty map's fine. So Cerulean Star, how do we get that? A water stone, which was actually in that gym, some sand and some seagrass. We can easily do that. Let's go ahead and sleep and then we'll get to crafting that. I don't know if this guy will naturally despawn, but just in case I'm going to put you in a boat. I can't take any risks. There we go. Alright, the sand is just here. Now, I'm fairly sure I need shares to mine seagrass, so let's go ahead and grab those. Come down here and then grab the seagrass. 3, that's exactly how many we need. And then we have the water stone here. So if we put it all together in a crafting table, 3 sand, 3 seagrass, a water stone, boom, Cerulean Star. Now, for now, we won't actually be able to do this because we don't have paper or anything like that to craft a empty map. But what we can do is go ahead and grab the sugarcane. Then when we want to actually take down the gym, we will grow some sugarcane and then make a map. Let's check what our new level cap is, 30. So yeah, we wouldn't be able to beat the gym now anyway, especially with the type matches we have now. Let's start heading back towards our spawn area. Alright, here we are back in spawn, and now that we've actually beat the first gym, I feel like our plan of action should be to build a base. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't really want to build around here because I just really don't like a savanna biome. So I guess the first step to building our base is to find a base spot to build at. I guess from looking at our map, this area doesn't look too bad, so let's go ahead and go check that out. Dude, that's an Eevee on my map. We have to go try catch that. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There it is. There it is. Level 28, so that's under the level cap for the gym as well. That is perfect. Let's go in with Girder because of the type advantage. Oh, dude, we still haven't changed the moves on Girder. It's fine though, because I do think a fighting type move would one-shot this Eevee anyway, so sticking with the slams is probably our best bet. Alright, I think we are safe to go with one more slam. And yeah, there we go. 19% HP. Let's just try through a normal Pokeball. If this doesn't catch, then we'll try a Great Ball. 1, 2. Ah. Oh. A Sports Ball is 1.5 times catch rate, which is basically the same as a Great Ball. So let's use these. There we go. We caught it. Nice. Now we do have a stone which can evolve Eevee, which is the ice stone, but I'm going to hold away from that for now because if we find a thunder or leaf stone, then I'd want to use that instead because that would give us the type advantage in the next gym. Alright, this is where we've ended up, and this little hill spot is going to be our base spot, I think, so let's go ahead and sleep into the next day. And now it's the next day, so let's get harvesting some wood for this base. Alright, now I'm not gonna lie, I don't really have a plan for this base, so I guess we're just gonna have to wing it. And I'm also not really a pro builder by any means, so I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but let's just start by clearing out some space. I guess our first thing to do is maybe build the pillars of it. Now, I don't know whether I want to use oak planks or birch planks for this, but that looks pretty good, so let's just stick with birch. Alright, now the walls are done, we can move on to the floor. Alright, boom. Now we need to do the roof, but the roof I want to use stone bricks as the outline for the stairs, so not the whole house is just made out of wood. So I guess we're going to have to farm up some stone, but before we do that, let's go to sleep. Alright, I'm really hoping a stack and a half is enough. Alright, now while that's smelting, let's go ahead and move stuff into the inside. No way. You guys hear that? That's the sound of a shiny. And you see on my minimap, there's a shiny Hoppip, I think that is? Or is that a no, that's a shiny... Oh, it's the Lechonk. No way. Dude, is that a pink Lechonk? Where is it? Oh my god, let's go. Dude, that is insane. I don't even want to try battle it, because imagine I accidentally one-shot. That would be so tragic. Okay, the quick bullets are 5 times on the first turn of battle, so I think let's just use that. That's got to be like a guaranteed catch. Boom! Our first shiny, dude. Luckily that sound is there, because if that sound wasn't in Cobblemon, I would not have noticed that Lechonk. We should probably make a stone cutter instead of just turning it directly into stairs. That's 3 stone and a piece of iron. Alright, place our stone cutter there, and then turn all of this stone brick into stairs. Alright, that's the stone brick outline for the roof done. Now we just need to go grab some sand for the windows and some more oak, because I'm going to fill the roof in with oak stairs and we do not have enough right now. Alright, so now we can make ourselves a bunch of wood stairs and start filling in this roof. That's amazing, we had exactly enough stairs to finish that. And that officially means our base is finished. Here it is. Now this is only obviously just a little starter base, so it's nothing fancy, and I forgot to fill in this window here. It's literally nothing fancy at all. It is literally just something to get us by for now. If this video does well and the series carries on, obviously we will have a much better base than this. So yeah, if you want to see that happen, don't forget to like and subscribe and even drop a comment on this video. But yeah, for now, as you can see, we are looking pretty poor in terms of our tools and ores, so I think this warrants for a mining trip. But you know what, before we go mining, let's go ahead and plant our apricot sprouts along with our sugarcane. Alright, now by looking at our map, I do see maybe that's a little cave over there, so let's go ahead and go to that. And if not, it's fine, we'll just have to go mining for one. Alright, here we are.
1 hour later.
So guys, I have some bad news. As you can probably tell from looking at your screen, I forgot to hit record when I started coming mining. Now I'm not done mining yet, but so far we've got some copper, iron, diamonds, lapis, redstone, gold and galar particles, which can be used to craft galar particle blocks, which can be used to craft Eternatus radar, which I'm fairly sure is what you use to find Eternatus. So yeah, I do apologise, but what can you do? Let's just keep on going. To be honest, right now I'm kind of keeping my eyes peeled on my map for an amethyst geode because amethyst can be used to craft XP shares, which are pretty darn useful. Now, if you look closely, I can actually see an amethyst geode right over here, so let's go ahead and make our way over there. Alright, we got ourselves some diamonds on the way there, and even more diamonds, let's go. We are no short of diamond luck, we've already managed to pick up 31. You know what we need to do right now is craft ourselves a diamond pickaxe, because our pickaxes have both just broke. And here is our amethyst geode. Alright, so if we mine this, we should get ourselves a couple amethyst shards, there we go. Alright, I think I'm going to head to this cave I see on my map here. Alright, on the way to the cave I see some more amethyst geodes on my mini-map, so let's head to these. Alright, here is the first one, let's just drop in. Alright, there is one here we can get. There's a second amethyst geode literally right next to us here. Alright, and there's another fully grown one. And 12 should do us, because that is 6 XP shares, more than we'll need. Alright, we've made it to the cave, and it looks like to me it was worth it to come here. Alright, there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. We got like a stack of gold, 2 stacks of iron, copper, you know, some other stuff, and loads of diamonds. Now, if I did have one complaint, we literally only got 40 coal, which is nowhere near enough. But we're not going to find that all the way down here anyway. So I think for now, I am done mining, and let's go back up to our base. Alright, so let's try escape, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that this is going to be one of those caves where I'm going to have to dig straight up in. And yep, I was right. Alright, we broke into this cave, which is kind of high up, so let's try and get some coal in here. Yes, this is perfect. There's quite a lot of coal around here. There we go, we didn't even have to dig straight up to the surface, that's perfect. And you know what I've just spotted on my map is a Shinx over here. Now, none of you will know this, but Luxray is actually my favourite Pokemon. And obviously Shinx evolves into Luxray. And not just that, it's perfect. Shinx is an electric type, the next gym we're fighting is water, that's a type advantage. It doesn't really get much more perfect than that. I guess let's go Shinx. Let's start strong with a Mach Punch. How much damage is this going to deal? Because we are quite underleveled compared to this Shinx, only about 16%. He doesn't do much damage back to us either though, so it's fine. He used Roar, which forced me to switch into Psyduck, so now he has the type advantage. That's not great. Oh, that Water Pulse got him down to 23% health. I'm pretty confident to try a Pokeball now. And it put us back to our Monferno, which is great. That means he's going to get the XP, which is what I wanted originally. Come on. Nice, first try. That gets us to level 20, and we get the achievement Full House. So not only do we have our team of 6 now, but we caught the Shinx at a high enough level to just evolve him straight into Luxio. And boom, there he is. I love Luxio. And that gave us a Stellar Terra Shard for some reason. Ah, home sweet home. Alright, for now, I can't be bothered being fully organized. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to have like this chest for Pokemon stuff, this chest for resources, and this chest for like blocks. Alright, there we go. We are now a little bit sorted out. Alright, for now, I need to smelt up everything I've got. So yeah, I'm going to make at least a couple more furnaces. Alright, so we've got 8 furnaces. How do I split this coal evenly? So that's 64, 128, 168. 168 divided by 8 gives us 21, I think. So each one should have 21 coal. Oh, I was actually right, no way. Alright, now let's go ahead and dump all of this ore in and sleep into the next day. And I just realised we need to get ourselves some tools with these hard-earned diamonds. An axe and a shovel should do me for now. Right, now let's go on a tiny bit of a side quest. This won't take long, but what I want to do is I want to craft these 2 compasses here, Explorer's Compass and Nature's Compass. This is what we need to craft the Nature's Compass, and this is what we need to craft the Explorer's Compass, hence why earlier I picked up cobwebs. Now what these do is the Explorer's Compass allows us to locate structures, and the Nature's Compass allows us to locate biomes. It's not like we need it right now, but just while we have time, while things are smelting up, I kind of just want to make them, because they're going to be really useful. And would you look at that, some of our apricorn trees have already grew. Okay, so literally what we need now is 4 logs and some saplings. And with that, we've got everything we need. Let's go back. Although we are actually going to need to smelt down stone brick into cracked stone brick. To do that, I need to grab more cobblestone for another furnace, as all of our furnaces are being used up right now. Just place that there for now. We're going to use these logs to smelt this because I can't be bothered grabbing coal. Right, now we need to actually make these compasses. So we're going to need some iron, some redstone, and you know what, while we're at it, on the topic of compasses, we may as well make this map so we can get the Misty map. Okay, so what we need to do is get some sugarcane, but we planted some earlier, except none of it's grew. That's fine, there's some over here as well. Right, that's 7, and I think we needed 9, so we are just going to have to take 2 of this and let those 2 grow instead. Okay, let's go ahead and make the 3 compasses we need, along with the paper we need. First, craft this map. Take 4 of these logs and go ahead and craft the Nature's Compass. take this cracked stone brick and then go ahead and craft ourselves the explorer's compass. And now we have that, and we have the cerulean star as well. Let's go back to the Brock gym where we can trade for the villager for the Misty map and then hopefully beat the second gym. Although looking at our team, we're going to need to first do some training, aren't we? But we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it, I guess. Alright, we've arrived. Here is the villager. But I can't trade with him, so I think I might have to break the boat. I think he needs to like re-register to whatever his working station is. There we go. Now we should be able to trade with him for Misty's gym. There we go. And let's have a look. So we need to go south to where we are. But first I've seen a little structure over here on the way, so I'm going to check this out first. Here it is. Now I don't know the structure, so let me just check if it's a trap chest. No, it's not. Alright, let's have a look. Buried treasure map. Yo, that's pretty good. Alright, let's have a look at this buried treasure map. Oh, it's just over here. If we can go do this now. Alright, it should be kind of directly where we're standing. Now, I'm not going to lie, I do not know how to do the trick to find it, so I'm just going to have to dig endlessly. There we go. Here it is. Ooh, this loot is actually pretty good, you know. Go ahead and drop all this sand. And we got some pretty decent stuff here. So emeralds, some ore. This XP candy is probably the best thing we got there. Now, who do I want to use this on? I mean, I kind of want to see the shiny Lechonk evolve into shiny Oikoloin. So I guess we use it there. And there we go. It's level 19, which is high enough level for the evolution. Let's see this thing evolve. Yo, pink Oikoloin, that is sick, dude. Alright, let's ditch this buried treasure map now. I kind of forgot to bring a bed with us, so that's not great. But now let's head over to this Misty gym. And there we go, I can see it on my mini-map just over here. And here it is, the water gym. Quite fitting, actually, that is just surrounded by water, isn't it? Okay, now, just for the fun, do we just attempt it anyway? Alright, before we fight, let me make sure I switch Luxio to the first slot of my party. And never mind, okay. It just instantly initiated my battle with her. That's fine though, because Monferno is going to die anyway, so he's going to get one-shot here, isn't he? Yep. Now, actually, maybe we save Luxio for now, and let's just go in with Gerda, because I don't think Horsey's going to be able to do too much to Gerda. Okay, so she switched into Starmie, which is super effective to us, but luckily I actually got a bulk up off, and now we could switch back out into... Well, Psyduck wasn't going to do much anyway, so let's just sack him off. Okay, so now we bring in Luxio. Right, now let's go with Spark. This should do some decent damage. But we got one shot, really? Okay, I don't know what we can do here. Oh, Eevee knows Bite as well, so we'll bring in Eevee. Hey, you know what? I'm just going to take the L. I'm just going to forfeit. There's no way we can beat her for now. Alright, let's heal up, and we are going to need to train. To start, we're surrounded by an ocean, so I think I'm just going to train my Luxio a little bit. Alright, Carvana, you're our first victim. These fish Pokemon really do not give a lot of XP, do they? Ooh, I think maybe Quillfish will give a lot of XP because that's a one-stage Pokemon. Oh, and it's level 33. I'm actually not too confident we'll beat this. I'm going to Volt Switch because I'm definitely not going to be able to. Okay, dude. Okay, well, hopefully something else will get the XP then. Let's go in with... I guess Oikoloin has the type advantage with a ground move. How much damage is this going to do? Wow, that is so underwhelming. Might be cooked here. Okay, I guess we'll bring in Eevee. And the annoying thing is this Quillfish is laying down a bunch of spikes, which is like kind of smart. Okay, we got absolutely dog walked. Okay, maybe Gerda could finish it off. Okay, my slam missed. That's just my luck, isn't it? Oh wait, isn't... Oh, Psychic super effective to poison, so maybe Psyduck can actually win this. Never mind, that really didn't do much. Okay, one Pokemon left, Monferno. Now he does have a priority moves, so maybe... Okay, dude, that did a pitiful amount of damage. Dude, that Quillfish absolutely just sweeped our whole team. Right, let's make a little backdoor entry to the gym here and heal our Pokemon. Alright, let's try to fight this hopefully lower leveled Quillfish. Oh, we paralyzed it. Perfect. Okay, Volt Switch again. Please don't miss. There we go. And that gave us actual good XP compared to all the other fish Pokemon. An Octillery over here. Okay, we paralyzed it first hit. Let's go. Hey, dude, these battles are getting a lot easier already. Hey, Luxio's now been brought up to level 28. Looking at our team, our Oikoloin is pretty underleveled, so I guess that's next. Okay, I'm going to try my luck on this Delcatty. But I'm obviously not going to be able to be with Oikoloin, so I'm going to have to maybe switch into Psyduck, let the Psyduck die, and switch into Gerda, which can then maybe beat the Delcatty. Dude, my Psyduck did 7% damage. That is pitiful. And it doesn't seem like this Delcatty knows any attack moves, so free win for us. Alright, dude, this has took absolutely ages, but I think this last Zen Headbutt should take the Delcatty down. Come on. There we go. That actually took ages. I better give a lot of XP for that. Come on. Boom! 3.7k XP. Alright, I've got an idea. Judging off the last battle, if I If I lead with Gerda, it's probably going to switch into Starmie, so then I can then switch into Eevee, and then try, obviously use Bite and get it down. So let's try that. Okay, predict, go to Eevee. Okay, just as I suspected. And now we go with Bite. Although that is a lot of damage, ow. And that is not enough damage back. Wow. Okay, we're going to die here anyway, so we may as well use Quick Attack. Okay, we're going to have to go Luxio here. I'm really hoping that this Starmie is the ace Pokemon and the other Pokemon aren't as strong as this. Okay, come on, Spark, you have to kill her. Okay, boom, there we go. The Starmie is down. Now, I don't know what else we're going to be able to do, but... Alright, let's try Volt Switch. Dude, this Horsey is faster than my Luxio. There's no way. Okay, I guess we'll go in with Gerda. Okay, and now we go Chip Away. That should be the Horsey down. Now, this is going to know a Psychic move, isn't it? So maybe I just switch here. I just let something die. Probably just let Monferno die. It's not going to do anything anyway, is he? If I survived somehow, maybe I'll be able to get Mach Punch off. There we go, boom. Okay, so let's switch into, I guess, our Psyduck. It looks like our Psyduck's going to come out on the bottom end here. That's fine. Oh, we could switch into our Oinkologne. We'll go with Covette because that steals this person's held item. That's goated. You can take the leftovers. Oh, that does a lot of damage as well. Wait, Oinkologne's kind of goated. Okay, boom. And we also have the leftovers, so we'll restore a little HP. Now, he's only got Goldeen left, so I'm pretty confident we can win this. I think Oinkologne will be able to deal with this Goldeen by itself. Okay, one last Covette, and boom, we beat Misty like that. Let's go. Okay, so you give us the Bubble Beam TM and Cascade Badge, Misty. Where's our badge box? Let's go ahead and put this in. And boom. And that means the second gym has been fully completed. Okay, and that to me seems like a pretty decent place to end off. Remember, because these videos do take a lot of effort to make, this series will only carry on depending on how this video does. So if you want to see it carry on, make sure you let me know down in the comments. In this video, I'll become the Kanto champion in my hardcore Cobblemon world. To do this, I'll have to build an insanely powerful team in order to defeat all 8 of the Kanto gyms, including the Team Rocket leader Giovanni. Will it be easy, or will it be incredibly challenging? Watch until the end to find out. Alright guys, we're actually starting this one off at Brock's gym, and that is because there's a very special someone here who sells all the maps to every gym we're going to need to beat today. We are going to need to acquire all these maps before we do anything, because that's just going to make everything so much easier for us. In my last video where I showed you how I got my perfect start, I beat 2 of the 8 gyms, so we'll just be needing the last 6 maps. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of these and note down what we're going to need to craft each one of these items. Alright, so here on your screen is everything we need to collect for all of these items for these maps. So I guess let's go get started. Right, first things first, we're going to need some wool. So I guess let's start sharing all the wooloo we come across. Alright babe, just off 4 wooloo we got enough wool that we're going to need for this. Now we're also obviously going to need dye, but a cool thing about Cobblemon is you can get any colour dye by smelting that colour apricorn. So what I'm hoping is when we explore to find the other items we need, we're going to come across the coloured apricorns we need as well. So then we can dye our wool. Alright, so now essentially what I'm going to do, and kind of what we've been needing to do, is literally just explore. We haven't yet just set out and looked for stuff, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because not only do we need to find certain items on our list, but it's just going to be fun and we'll probably find some good Pokemon to catch on the way. Speaking of good Pokemon to catch, there's a Swellow here, and we don't actually have a flying Pokemon yet. And the good thing about getting a flying Pokemon is, well, we can actually fly to places with it. So with that being said, let's go. And boom, there we go. And because we carry a PC on us, we can just grab that. Now, the tough question is, who do we want to switch out? Looking at our team, I think Eevee just makes the most sense considering it's not evolved yet. So now if we throw this Swellow out, and then we should be able to ride it. Let's go. Now, I haven't even actually discussed this. Although we're not going to fight any gyms until we get all the maps for them. The next gym is an electric type, meaning we should keep our eyes peeled for any ground types. There's a Gimmighoul structure here, so let's see. And it actually was a Gimmighoul chest. That's perfect. Alright, so if I give this to Gerda, it should now be able to evolve into Conkeldurr. Dude, that is sick, and I can even ride him as well. That is so cool. Alright, we've come across a desert pyramid. Alright, now let's obviously be careful not to step on that one thing which is going to kill us. Now, I'm not too sure of this, but I'm fairly sure Cobbleverse, the mod pack we're playing, actually blocks the spawn of the Warden. And if that's the case, then there's going to be some crazy loot in the ancient city for free. So using this explorer's compass we crafted yesterday, let's try head to one. Alright, so apparently if we dig straight down from where we're standing, we should drop into an ancient city. Now, we are playing hardcore, so I'm obviously not going to actually dig straight down. Alright, boom, here we are, and really hope I'm correct in what we said, otherwise we are screwed. Dude, even without the Warden spawning, this is still creepy as hell. What the hell is this? A Draco relic awakens the Regidrago at the Split Decision realm. Okay, dude, this is what I was talking about. An XP Candy XL, that is insane. Okay guys, there's a Haunter here, and Haunter evolves into Gengar through trading. And we just got a link cable, meaning we could evolve this guy if we caught him. So let's go ahead and try. The hard question again is, who do we swap out? I think for now, because the next gym is electric, I think it makes sense to swap our Psyduck out. Then if we give him this, and then hit the evolve button. There we go, we got ourselves a Gengar, and we can actually fly on Gengar as well, so that's great. Okay, so now we've pretty much looted everything and even caught ourselves a Pokemon. Let's go ahead and get out of here because I have an idea on where to head next. Okay, now we're out. Let me explain where we need to go. See, we need to find a village with something called a department store in it. Because with the Cobble dollars we have, we can buy some of the items we need from those stores. Okay, this isn't really what we were looking for, but this is bound to got some good loot, right? Okay, this guy sells a fermented spider eye. We're going to need one of those, so let's just grab that. He also sells magma cream. We're going to need that, but that is too spendy for us right now. Alright guys, there's a waystone here. What these allow us to do is fast travel between 2 points where there's waystones for the cost of some of our XP. So I'm going to go ahead and activate this one so I can come back here anytime. Okay guys, we are absolutely full, but I'm fairly sure I figured out you can actually sell stuff to these guys, so let's try. So yeah, these relic coins sell for a nice amount. I wonder, because you're a potion guy, will you accept these? No, I think he's just only going to accept relic coins. Alright, let's just get out of here and find the village we actually need. Alright guys, about 3,000 blocks later, we've made it here. And this is what we've been looking for, the department store. So let's head over there. In this department store, there's someone selling TMs, Pokeballs, X items, healing items, food, held items, Evo items, stones and gems, and music discs. We're going to stay around here for a while because we're going to be making heavy use of this shop to get all those items we need. But first, let's start by looting this village. Oh my god, guys. No way. I see another shiny on our map. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. Shiny Shuppet. No way. Let's go, dude. Shiny Shuppet. That's insane. Boom. There we go. We got our second shiny. Alright, boom, we are done looting. Firstly, I'm going to be honest, I don't know how we're going to get this all back to base. We're going to need to get some waystones or something. And this is all the loot we managed to get. There is some decent stuff in here. And last but not least, I grabbed these relic coins so we can go sell them to the shops. And yeah, we're going to need a lot more cash. So I think the best way to do that, if I had to guess, would be to just defeat the trainers around the world. I do think we also get it from defeating normal Pokemon, so we're going to do that as well. Dude, I feel like it's like these trainers are everywhere until the one time we actually need to find some. But now they're nowhere. Now, I'm just remembering we did get these XP candies earlier, so let's go ahead and use them on our Monferno. Right, we got him to level 35, which means one more level and he will become Infernape. And also, Luxio's level 30, Monferno's level 36. That means they can both evolve. Alright, we finally managed to work our way up past 25k. That means we can buy our electric gem, which is basically the big expensive item out of everything we need. Electric gem. Buy. Now the other thing we need is black sludge from this guy, which is only 5k, so we should be able to get that fine. No way, another shiny. What shiny is it? A Squawkabilly, that's the one. Dude, I don't have any of my balls on me. What the hell was I thinking? So we're gonna have to put this guy in a boat, go grab our balls and come back. There we go, he's in a boat, so now he's not gonna despawn. Alright, so let's just go ahead and throw a quick ball at it, and this should do the trick. There we go. Dude, I can't believe we've already got 3 shinies, that's absurd. Alright, so let's grab this black sludge. There we go. Right, now we need to craft ourselves a focus sash, which needs 2 blaze powder, a copper ingot, and 2 leather. So what we're missing from that is literally just 2 leather and blaze powder, which we can get from the mob drop villager down here. Great, it doesn't just sell blaze powder, I have to buy a whole blaze rod. That's a lot of money. Right, we need a power weight now. Okay, to craft it, we need white mint leaves. So to get these, we're going to have to save up 10k to buy the seeds from the villager. Alright, boom, we have the 10k. Let's go get this white mint seed. I'm also going to go to mob drops and grab some bones, because I'm not waiting for this thing to grow, to be honest. And there we go. We got our mints. Let's just take this seed with us, because I don't want to lose that. Now, we can't craft it just yet, because our diamonds are back at base, but we've basically got what we need to craft that. And then we also need an emerald block, so let's grab that. Now we pretty much have everything we need, but we do need to go back to base to grab a couple extra things. So let's go ahead and grab this waystone, move it up there, and then we'll transport all our stuff to base. So just place it right here. Now we teleport to this one over here, grab this, and now we're going to need to travel roughly 4,000 blocks home. Alright, here we are. Alright, before we actually enter our base, let's just grab a couple pieces of sand because we need glass. Alright, and let's just place this waystone. For now, we're just going to place it right here next to our chests. Alright, first things first, let's grab all our ores out of here. Alright, let's go ahead and grab this power weight. And just to make this transportation of our loot a bit easier, let's upgrade our backpack to gold, which gives us more space. And then again to diamond, which gives us even more space. So now it looks a bit like this. Wow. Now, although I was trying to originally stay organized with chests, when we transport this loot, that's going to go to shambles. But I will eventually sort it out, don't worry. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, boom, everything's put into the chest. Let's go ahead and craft up the last missing items. Okay, so now we should have everything we need to get every single gym map. So let's head over to Brock's gym to trade with the villager. Now for the next gym, which is the electric gym, I'm pretty confident we can just beat it, because in the time we've been crafting these maps, we've leveled up our team a decent bit. Alright, here we are. So now let's craft ourselves the Lieutenant Medal, the Nature's Fan, the Ninja Poison, the Hypnic Whip, the Cinnabar Glasses, and finally, the Boss Ring. Alright, now we've got all the items, let's trade for all the maps. Boom, just like that, we have all 6 maps for all 6 gyms. And that actually unlocked the map for the Kanto League, which is in the end, surprisingly enough. But we're not going to do that for now. For now, we're going to beat the gyms, starting with Lieutenant Surges. So let's just head back to our base, grab a bed, and then head out. Alright, so now let's head out northeast. Alright, finally. For some reason, this gym was literally miles away. But it's fine. After like literally 9,000 blocks, we're finally here. Alright, let's go ahead and lead with Oinkloin because it has a type advantage with its ground moves, and then try to take on this gym. So we've got the TM Thunder and then the Electric Badge. Let's go ahead and put that in there. And next up is Erica's Gym. Now there's a village just here, so I'm going to go to that and hope that that has a waystone at it, which we can just use to get back to our base. And then find Erica's Gym from there. Alright, and just as I thought, there is one right here, so let's go back to our base. That puts our level cap up to level 45. Nice. Let's go ahead and give this XP candy large to our Infernape, just to bring them up, as the next gym is a grass gym, so Infernape's probably going to be our main man for that. Well, actually, I know what we should do before we go. We should grab ourselves some XP shares. I want to keep the charcoal on Infernape, so we're going to need 5. So 10 iron, 10 lapis, 10 amethyst, 5 gold, 5 helmets. Alright, we've got all 5, so let's throw out our Pokemon and give them. Now let's make our way towards the gym. Alright, there's the gym. That was much faster than finding the Lieutenant Surge one. Alright, now I'm going to give this one a go, but I'm not as confident for this one as I am for the Lieutenant Surge gym. We're more than likely going to have to do a bit of training. Either way, let's ensure we lead with Infernape. And boom, that's the 4th gym down. Let's go ahead and collect this badge, put it in our badge box, and then let's head to the next gym, which is Koga, which is a poison gym. Alright, so now let's do a similar thing to what we did last time. Let's go ahead and go to this village and use the waystone to get back to our base, and then from our base head to Koga's gym. Okay, so let's fast travel home using this waystone, and now using this map, make our way towards the gym. Okay guys, we've made it to Koga's gym, but it's spawned inside of a villager's house, so it's completely destroyed. Did he even spawn in? I don't think he did. Okay guys, we're literally going to have to spawn him in, because if we don't, then there's going to be no way for us to progress past. Obviously this isn't what I want to have to do, but it's what I have to do. But there is a perfect battlefield right here, so we'll do it here. Alright, here he is, Koga. Now this is probably going to be the hardest one. I don't actually think we're going to be able to win this one, unlike the other two, because not only are we now under-leveled compared to what his Pokemon are leveled, but also we don't really have like great type matchups for this, especially because he's leading with Crobat. Yeah, we aren't going to be able to win. What's our level cap though? I think it's level 55. I thought it was going to be 50. So let's go ahead and level up our mons a little bit. Okay, so now we've leveled up a little bit. Let's have another go at the gym battle. And And boom, there we go. We have defeated Koga. Give me that. Put this in our badge box. And that means next up is Psychic type Sabrina. Now, I'm not going to lie, with the Pokemon we have, we are not beating Sabrina. Sabrina's gym is Psychic type, and that's a big weakness in our team. So I think for now, for this gym, let's swap out Conkelda, take his XP share. We'll swap him out for Shuppet for now, because that's going to be type advantageous. And then yeah, hopefully we do come across something to replace Oinkologne as well, because that is just a weak point in our team overall. Okay, so let's head back to our base. Now what I do want to do is actually start growing ourselves the Apricorn, so let's go ahead and grab our sprouts. Do we actually have one of every color? I think we do. That's pretty good. Now when I made this farm, I actually messed up, because what I was intending to do is leave a gap of space between the different colors, but yeah, I messed that up. So let's go ahead and mine the white and yellow one. Right, so let's go ahead and place our Apricorn sprouts down correctly. Alright, we might expand in the future, but for now we've just got a row of each Apricorn colour. And the cool thing about Apricorn sprouts is that you can just plant them directly onto the trees as well. Now, because our Shuppet's so underleveled, let's go ahead and give it this XP XL and see what level we get it to. Boom, there we go, jumped 13 levels in 1 XP candy. Alright, so let's start making our way to Sabrina's gym. We're not going to be able to challenge it as soon as we get there, but I just want to be there anyway. Alright, there it is, Sabrina's gym. So yeah, I guess for now we just need to train up. And just like that, our Shuppet is level 37. And boom, shiny Banette. Oh my god, no way. There's no way. That's such a good shiny as well. Guys, there's a shiny Magikarp here. Oh my god. Dude, I can't believe this. We only have 5 Pokeballs with us. Wait, this is not good. We're gonna need to get lucky here. Oh my god, let's go. We actually got it. Wait, no way. Is that Nihilego? There's no way. Oh my god, it actually is. Guys, if you don't know, this is an Ultra Beast. Dude, we need to build up to this thing. We used all our Pokeballs on that Magikarp. We could do what we did for the Squawkabilly earlier, which essentially is putting this thing in a boat. That's because when you put Cobblemon in boats, they don't despawn. So if we place this here and just push it over, there we go. This Nihilego is level 74 as well. It's actually like too far over the level cap for us. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a waypoint here, and when our level cap is high enough, we're going to come back and catch this thing. But yeah, if there's one thing I want to do right now, it's put that Magikarp on my team. We said earlier we were looking for something to replace Oinkologne, and what's better than to replace a shiny with a shiny? Our shiny like this video has been insane. Alright, let's get back to training. Okay, so now we've trained up a bit, let's go ahead and try the gym again, and let's make sure we lead with Gengar. And boom, there we go, we beat the gym. Let's grab our items as per usual. We got the TM Psywave, and let's grab our badge box and go ahead and put the badge inside. Okay, so now let's make our way back to our base, because the next gym is actually in the nether. Alright guys, now we are back. We can go ahead and head to the nether with this nether portal I built earlier. Alright, here we are in the nether. Let's go ahead and make our way towards the next gym. Alright guys, here we are after a treacherous journey at Blaine's gym. Before we start to try anything with the gym, let's go ahead and check out the structure. Alright, so we're going to attempt the gym, but if we lose, which we likely will, we're going to train up and then re-attempt it. Okay, so we got beat pretty badly. Let's go ahead and train up. Okay, so now we've trained up a bit, let's go ahead and attempt this gym again. There we go, by far our toughest gym challenge yet, but we have managed to win. Go ahead and slot that badge right into the badge box. Now Giovanni's up next. But first I have a little side quest. Okay, so now we're back to our base, let me explain what we need to do. You see, the next gym is Giovanni's gym, and that is going to be by far the hardest one yet. And our team isn't prepared for that gym yet. So I want to make a couple revisions to our team. Number 1 being swapping out a couple Pokemon, and number 2 is crafting mints, which allows us to change the nature of our Pokemon, which is going to give them an amazing power boost. Now, the next gym is a ground type, so for who we need to swap out, it's probably going to be Luxray, because he will get destroyed in that gym. And I think we should swap him out for Eevee, because we've got a Leaf Stone, and we can get ourselves a Leafeon with that. Let's go ahead and give this to Eevee, and then evolve her. Okay, so now we've managed to make ourselves some money just from training up. So let's go ahead and go to the shop and buy all the mint seeds we need from this guy right here. We already got the white one, so we're just going to be needing all the other colors. Okay, so now we just need to plant these mint seeds down. Okay, so we've got them all planted, so now when we bone meal these will grow and then drop mint leaves, which can be used to craft the nature changing mints. Okay, so for all the mints we're going to need 10 red mint leaves, 5 cyan mint leaves, and 9 green mint leaves. To do that, we're going to need quite a bit of bone meal, so let's go ahead and go back to the shop where we should be able to buy some from the mob drop trader. There we go, let's just say 20 should be enough. Okay, that was not enough, we're going to have to grab a bit more. Okay, there we go, we got everything we need, now we just need to craft the mints. Okay, boom, so now let's apply these natures. Okay, so now all the stats have been changed, but the one thing I've noticed is our team is very physical attacker heavy, but we should be able to get away with that. Okay, so for now we have XP shares and everything just to make training a lot easier, but for the actual battle we're going to want held items. So I'm going to look for our chests and choose some held items for each of our Pokemon. Okay, here are the potential held items we're going to use, but we're going to choose the held items themselves before the gym battle. But for now, as well as being underleveled in general, our Leafeon's level 28, so we're going to need to do some major leveling there. I don't know why we haven't done this yet, but let's go ahead and craft ourselves a healer. Okay, so firstly we're going to need to craft ourselves a campfire pot. Okay, the reason we need this is to make a max revive, so let's go ahead and put this all in, and it should make us a max revive which we can then use to make the healer. Boom, there we go, we are now actually able to heal our own Pokemon. But in Cobblemon, healers do need to charge, as you've just seen, so we're going to have to wait a little while. Okay guys, while training, I just realized I've noticed something which is going to help us out a lot. As I've just shown you, our level cap is 75. And if you remember, that Nihilego from earlier is level 74. Meaning, if we can actually catch that Nihilego. Now that would obviously be a huge help to the team, so let's make our way there as quickly as possible. Alright, we've made it to the Nihilego. Let's go ahead and try to catch this thing. No way, we actually caught it. Let's go, dude. Now, the honest question here is, who do we swap out? Okay, I think I've got a plan. I think we should head to Giovanni with Nihilego replacing Leafeon, and let's see how well we do in the battle. If we don't do too well, then we'll swap Leafeon for probably Burnett or Gengar, and then level that up. Okay, so we made it to Giovanni's gym, and it is in a deep dark, and our pickaxe actually broke getting here, so we had to craft a new one. Okay, so I've given all our Pokemon held items, and Giovanni's gym is actually a double battle, so let's make sure we have the 2 Pokemon we want to lead with at the top. And the good thing about having Nihilego is it can actually set up entry hazards, which is perfect. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so we unfortunately lost that battle, but I can tell with a bit of leveling to get up to the same level as Giovanni, I think we can absolutely win that. Now, the one thing I will say is Swellow is not doing much, so I think we should actually bring Leafeon over Swellow. Okay, so let's give everyone their XP shares back. And let's head back to our base to do some training, but to also get the perfect nature on Nihilego. Oh my god, no way guys, we found a Paradox Pokemon. If you don't know, these are Pokemon released in Gen 9, which are futuristic versions of existing Pokemon. This is the futuristic version of Donphan Iron Treads. We have to try catch this. Nice, we actually caught it. Now, to be honest, that's not going to be much use this gym battle because the types on that aren't perfect. But we can use it to help train up. Because I had to take Nihilego off our team because it was making the trainers too high level. Okay, so now we've leveled up all of our Pokemon, let's try beat Giovanni. Yes, no way. We actually won. With 1 Pokemon left, we beat Giovanni. Just like that, let's go ahead and pick up this. We get a Master Ball from that. That's insane. We get the Earth Badge, so let's go ahead and slot that in our badge box and complete the badge box. And we get Ancient DNA, which can be used in a resurrection machine with a cloning catalyst to create Mewtwo. And just like that, everybody, we have become the champion. Not only have we built an insane team featuring an Ultra Beast, we've also caught a Paradox Pokemon, multiple Shinies, and defeated all 8 of the gyms. So that's where we're going to be ending off. So if you did enjoy this, make sure to like, subscribe, or comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Today I'm going to be mastering Mega Evolution in my hardcore Cobblemon world. To do this, I'll have to obtain a full team of Pokemon that can Mega Evolve, including at least 1 Legendary and at least 1 Shiny, and Mega Evolve every single one of them. But obtaining these incredibly rare Pokemon and items won't be easy, so stick around to the end to see exactly how I do it. Okay, so to begin, if you guys know anything about Mega Evolution, you know we're going to need a Keystone to actually Mega Evolve any Pokemon at all. Now, in order to actually get a Keystone, we need to get to a structure called a Megaroid, which I found underground. So our first goal is to literally just find a Megaroid to get a Keystone. Now, once we get this Keystone, we can craft it into a Mega Bracelet, Ring, Necklace, or Glasses to actually power our Mega Evolution. Okay, boom, we've landed in this little cave here, and this purple thing is actually the Megaroid we're looking for. And inside of this, we can literally just break through and mine this, and there's going to be a Keystone somewhere in here. And there we go. We actually found that pretty fast, luckily. And this should give us a keystone. Now, out of all the things that can harness our keystone, I think Archie's anchor looks the coolest, so that's the one we're going to craft. Alright, now we are back on our base. We just need to grab ourselves 5 pieces of gold, 2 diamonds, and then 2 pieces of iron. Turn the iron into a chain, and then put it all together in a crafting table just like this, and we have got ourselves Archie's anchor. So as you can see, you can't see it because I've got my chest plate on, but if I take that off, you can see that we have Archie's anchor on us. Now, what that means pretty much is we can Mega Evolve any Pokemon now, as long as we get their Mega Stone. We're going to need a full team of 6 Mega Pokemon. And let me explain why that's going to be such a hassle. See, the Mega Stones we need for these Pokemon spawn in rare structures called Mega Sites, meaning we're going to need to find 6 of these structures just to Mega Evolve our whole team. And not just that, each of these Mega Stones have its own unique crafting recipe which can contain some really rare items. Let's get started and make our way towards a couple Mega Sites. Alright, we have made it to our first Mega Site. And as you can see, this looks identical to the Mega Roid, but this one is actually hollow on the inside. And right here is the Mega Stone we need. So if we break this, as you can see, we get the raw Mega Stone. And another cool thing about this is there's a bunch of evolution stones here as well. So let's go ahead and pick these all up. Now I've shown you what that boring process looks like. Let's go ahead and repeat that another 5 whole times. Alright, there we go. As you can see, we have collected all 6 Mega Stones along with a lot of evolution stones. And now we actually need to collect the Pokemon we need. As you can see on our team, 3 of the 6 Pokemon are able to Mega Evolve and the other 3 aren't. But I think it's lame if we keep all 3 of these Pokemon, so we're only going to keep 1, meaning we're going to need to collect 5 more Pokemon that can Mega Evolve. Now before we go out to catch these Pokemon, there's one item we're going to want to craft, a Pokénav. What a Pokénav does is literally just lets us see the Pokemon that can spawn around us along with the percentage chance of them spawning. Oh my god guys, no way. There is a shiny Oricorio. I was literally just collecting the items for the Pokénav when this guy spawned in. Now he unfortunately can't make it onto the Mega Team, but a shiny is a shiny, so let's go ahead and catch this guy. And just like that, we have got ourselves a Pokénav, and this is what it looks like. Alright, so the first Mega on our agenda is Hawlucha. I think this guy's design is absolutely peak, and to find him we need to head to a jungle temple, so I'll see you guys there. Alright, here we are, and as you can see, Hawlucha's now got a 17% chance of spawning in.
2,000 years later.
Alright, here we go guys, a Hawlucha has actually spawned in, so now let's just literally go ahead and catch him. And boom, we caught him on our first ball. I was not expecting that, that was pretty lucky. Now that Hawlucha, I'm not even kidding, took ages to spawn in because the Hawlucha can only spawn on this jungle temple here, and that's not a very big spawn area if you can't tell. But anyways, on to the next Pokemon. Alright, for the next Pokemon we need to get, we actually need to head to the Nether. Now the reason for this is simple. I can already see the Pokemon we need on our map, and that is a Numel, which we can evolve into a Mega Camerupt. See, I don't often use Mega Camerupt, but when I do, I absolutely love using him. Alright, here is Numel, the pre-evolution to Camerupt. So this should be a pretty easy catch. Let's just go ahead and waste no time. Alright, for our third Pokemon, we're going to need a Pokemon on this team that can fly, because that is just a necessity on any Cobblemon team. And one of the fastest flyers in Cobblemon is a Garchomp, and it even has 2 Megas for us to choose from, so what better Pokemon to go ahead and catch? Alright, we have arrived in maybe the tiniest Badlands ever, which is actually the place where Gible, Garchomp and Gabite can spawn, but as you can see, the percentage chance of these guys spawning is really low. If you add all the percentages together, it's about a 0.1% chance. Alright, it's been a little while, and I've even filled up these ravines and stuff just to increase the spawn area for this Gible, but still no luck. Alright, finally I see on my minimap a little Gible has spawned in just here. This is literally took ages, took even longer than her Hawlucha somehow. For some reason I don't have any more quick balls though. I probably should go buy some more, so I guess for now we're just gonna have to use these ancient Ultra Balls because I also don't have any normal Ultra Balls. Wow. Now the thing is with catching low level Pokemon like this Gible is no Pokemon on my team can hit this thing without killing it. So I just have to get lucky. And if you didn't know, pseudo legendaries like Gible have really low catch rates, so it's not gonna be easy. Boom, there we go. 4 Pokeballs later, we have caught the Gible, meaning we now have half the Pokemon we need for this team. Now, before I forget, let's go ahead and go to the shop where we can actually buy some Quick Balls, because that is a necessity right now. This is all our money can buy us. Now, for our next Pokemon, I don't think we should go straight for just a normal Pokemon. I think we should attempt to get our legendary Pokemon. The legendary I'm going for is Mewtwo. And essentially how we get Mewtwo is we need to find a structure called a Rocket Tower. And there's going to be a trainer in there. When we defeat it, we will get a cloning catalyst. We compare that with the ancient DNA we got from defeating Giovanni in a resurrection machine, and it will start cloning a Mewtwo. But I don't think that trainer is going to be exactly easy to beat though. I guess let's just head there. Alright, here we are at the rocket tower, and we can just break through the top here, and boom, we're in. But now this guy isn't actually the guy we need to fight, we just need to break under him, and in this secret room, this is the person we're going to need to fight. Now just to check, yeah, she's got like level 80 Pokemon. Let's just go ahead and forfeit for now, because we are going to need to majorly train to get this win. And luckily I have brought a Waystone with us, so we can go ahead and come back anytime. So now obviously we need to train up our team, but doing that manually is honestly grueling. So I've got a better idea. You see, relic coins drop from the Pokemon called Gimmighoul, and they could be sold for money in the shop. So using that, we can build a farm to generate loads and loads of relic coins, which we can then use to buy XP candies. Now we can only get the Gimmighoul in their chest form because it makes the farm generate way more relic coins, so let's go ahead and head to some Gimmighoul ruins and try to find them. Alright, here we are, and essentially this chest has a chance to be either a Gimmighoul or an actual chest of loot. So usually we'd hope for the chest of loot, but this time we're hoping for the Pokemon. Alright, we're at another Gimmighoul structure, this time a tower, so let's see if we can get better luck. Nope, on to the next. Okay, we've got to yet another structure, and you know what they say, third time's the charm, so let's have a look. Yeah, wow, our luck really couldn't be any worse right now. Okay, this structure has multiple Gimmighoul chests, so surely one of these is going to have something in it. Let's go ahead and try this one. Boom, there we go. Alright, let's see if we can go 2 for 2. Nice, let's go. So after we catch this guy, we're going to need to go ahead and catch 8 more Gimmighouls. Okay guys, look at this. Just while looting the Gimmighoul structure, this shiny Snubbull spawned in. So you know we gotta catch it real quick, then get straight back to the Gimmighoul hunting. Alright, as you can see, we have now collected all 10 Gimmighouls we need, along with a couple stacks of relic coins. So all we've got left to get now is chests, fences, soul sand, a pasture block, and a lot of hoppers. Alright, let's get started by getting the chests and fences we need. Now obviously to do that, we're just gonna have to deforest part of this forest over here. Alright, we've got ourselves 5.5 stacks of oak logs. That should be enough. Let's just go ahead and craft it all up. Alright, now we've got everything. So now we literally just need to get ourselves the iron for the hoppers, the soul sand, and the pasture block. But we can get the pasture block very simply like this. And now let's go ahead and head to the nether to farm up that soul sand. Alright, there we go. We've literally got everything we need except for the iron for the hoppers, which is going to be the most grueling, boring, annoying part of this material collection. But I guess let's just go do it anyway. Okay guys, we are back and we finally got over 5 stacks of raw iron. So now let's go ahead and split it up into our furnaces and wait for it to smelt. Alright, all our iron is now done, so let's go ahead and grab all of this. Now turn it all into hoppers. And now we literally have every resource we can need, so let's go ahead and actually build the farm. Alright, so I think just down here should be a decent spot. So to begin, we have to dig an 8x8 hole, which is 2 blocks deep. So now we go ahead and put a chest here with hoppers fully leading into it. And then fill the rest of the space up with hoppers leading into that row of hoppers. Alright, boom, now we can just place soul sand all over these hoppers. Then we just have to enclose the area with fences. Place a gate right here just in case we need to get in, and then go ahead and put down our pasture block and input all of our Gimmighouls. So now all these guys will randomly drop relic coins, which will be put through the soul sand into the hoppers, which will all be collected in here. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and AFK this for a bit. Alright guys, it has been a little while, and as you can see, I literally had to expand this farm like crazy, and we have got so many relic coins. And as you can see, it's even still filling up by the second. But let's go ahead and try sell all of these. Alright, we are carrying as much as possible, so let's go see how much this sells for. Alright, we can only sell about this many each time because that's as much as my inventory can hold, but that gets us 86,000 alone. Alright, we sold everything and we got almost 300k, so now let's go ahead and repeat that with the rest of our relic coins. Okay guys, I just checked and I'm fairly sure we'll earn more if we sell it as relic coin stacks. So if I go ahead and put 81 in here, as you can see it sells for 4.05k, but that's the same amount it takes to make a relic coin stack. Let's go ahead and turn everything we have into relic coin stacks before we sell them. Alright, this is literally the rest of the relic coins we got, so when we put this in there, we should see a pretty big number. Boom, there we go. We are now officially a millionaire. So now we can use this money to go ahead and buy a bunch of candies. Let's save some money. Let's just buy 50. Alright, so now let's get some levels on our Pokemon. Okay, as you can see, that only got our Pokemon to about just above level 70 for each Mon. So I'm going to repeat this process a couple times until our Pokemon are a very good level. Alright, as you can see, all our Pokemon are now at level 80, and we also even have some XP candies left over. So now I'm not 100% confident that we're ready, but we can go ahead and give the battle a go anyway. Alright, here we are, so now let's give this a go. Alright, to start with, I think I'm just going to use Dragon Dance on our Gyarados to try and give us a good power boost. Okay, his Gunk Shot did way more damage than I would have hoped for, because we now should be able to outspeed and potentially one-hit KO, but let's see. Okay, we couldn't outspeed, but he still missed, and we did not one-shot at all. That's fine though, because let's bring in Infernape, and Infernape should be able to one-hit KO. Okay, so we bring in Hypno, so I think our Infernape is dead here. So let's just go ahead and go with the Flare Blitz, but I think we're probably going to get one-shotted by some kind of Psychic move here. Yep, Zen Headbutt took us out. That is fine though, let's just go ahead and bring in our Gengar. Okay, so far it's even. 2 Pokemon down on both sides. Okay, now because he's got the type advantage, I'm going to assume this Honchkrow is going to take us out with one Dark move. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to Destiny Bond. Okay, he Sucker Punch, but it failed. Okay, I'm going to try Destiny Bond again. Ah, but it failed. Our Gengar's probably dead here. That is not ideal, but we can bring in Luxray now. Now he brings in Vileplume, so try another Wild Charge, but oh yeah, we actually did outspeed. That's not going to do too much damage. And he got some health back with Giga Drain. Now I'm going to bring in Banette. I'm going to go with Knock Off to knock off the Vileplume's Black Sludge, which is healing its health. Alright, now this isn't going well for us, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is bring in Nihilego. I'm not directly going to use Nihilego. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and Max Revive a couple Pokemon. If I can get 2 Pokemon off, that would be great. Oh yeah, well, this Vileplume isn't doing much. Alright, so now let's go ahead and just do what we can with Nihilego. Alright, I didn't expect that, but I think, yep, we actually managed to take out Vileplume with Nihilego. I think this might be last, or maybe second to last Pokemon. Alright, the Muk managed to take out our Nihilego. Let's just go ahead and bring in Gyarados to hopefully finish the job. And Waterfall almost one-shotted. Just one more Waterfall to finish this off. Boom. So now Athena should give us the item we need. There we go, the Cloning Catalyst and Acid Armor TM, which I'm probably not going to use. Right, so now we've got the Ancient DNA and the Cloning Catalyst. We just need to go ahead and build the Resurrection Machine, which is pretty simple. We just need to place the Restoration Tank with a Fossil Analyzer next to it and a Data Monitor on top. And now we actually need to put some revives in there, so to do that, let's go buy some off the shopkeeper. Not sure exactly how many we need, so let's just go ahead and be safe by like 10. Alright, now we just need to fill this tank up. And there we go. As you can see, it is now literally creating Mewtwo. So now let's just go ahead and wait for this to be done. Alright, it's been like 10 minutes and I just heard a noise come out of this, so I think that means it's done. Now, I wonder what ball we should use for this. Definitely not the Master Ball, that would be a huge waste. I don't know, I think I just want to go with the Premier Ball. Like it matches Mewtwo a little bit. And boom, there we go. Just like that, we have got ourselves a Mewtwo. Let's go ahead and get this guy in our team. Here he is. Okay, so now we've got the Legendary on our team, we need to go ahead and catch another normal Pokemon capable of Mega Evolution. Okay, so now we have 3 normal Pokemon, a Legendary Pokemon, and a Shiny Pokemon being Gyarados. We are literally just missing 1 more normal Pokemon. And we have Fire and Water type Pokemon, so I think we're going to need a Grass type to round this team off, just to have that type triangle. And you know what? I think I want to get Victory Bell, because that's one of those new Megas which I really haven't had a chance to use, so why not? Alright, so we need to make our way back to the jungle in order to find a Bellsprout. Alright, I've spotted a Bellsprout on our minimap. Let's go ahead and make our way there. Let's just go ahead and grab a quick ball. 1 should be enough and chuck it at him. Boom, there we go. We have caught our final Pokemon. Alright, so now as you can see on the left, we have got our full team of Pokemon that can Mega Evolve. But most of them are unevolved, and all of them, except from Gyarados, of course, are completely underleveled. So it looks like we're going to get back to AFK in this farm until we have enough XP candies to level up our team fully to level 80. Alright, a lot of AFK in later. As you can see, all the members on our team are now level 80. But now let's go ahead and evolve the ones who need evolving. So we evolve Numel into Camera, Gible into Gabite, Bellsprout into Weeping Bell. Then we need to go ahead and evolve Gabite again into Garchomp. And now we need to go ahead and grab a Leaf Stone out of our chests to evolve Weeping Bell into Victory Bell. There we go. Go ahead and throw Weeping Bell out. Give him this. Now we can evolve him. Okay, so now we literally have every Pokemon we need fully evolved, so we just need to actually craft the Mega Stones themselves. Starting with Gyarados. His Mega Stone needs a Dark Gem, a Muscle Band, which luckily we actually have on our Infernape, so we need to go ahead and get that off of him. And then literally just 2 Iron. So boom, when we put that all together, we get the Gyarados. Next on our team is Victory Bell. Now, I don't know if we actually have a Toxic Orb, which is needed for this Mega Stone. Okay, we do, luckily. And then we need to make ourselves a pair of shears so we can go grab some leaves, like so. So now we can put this all together in a crafting table like this and get our second Mega Stone. Okay, now is Garchomp, and as I mentioned earlier, we actually have 2 choices for Garchomp. Garchompite Z or Garchompite. Now literally just for the sake of me never using the Z Mega, I'm going to go with that one. Also, Mega Garchomp Z doesn't have a ground type, meaning there will technically be no type overlap with Camerupt. Okay, now unfortunately this Mega Stone needs 2 Quick Claws and I only have the 1, so we're going to have to head to the shop and hope the held item guy sells it, otherwise we're going to have to go on a huge treasure hunt. Okay, luckily he does sell it and we have just enough, so let's go ahead and get that. And just like that, we have now got half the Mega Stones. Okay guys, unfortunately the Camerupt item needs a Flame Orb and it is not one of the battle items. I'll go ahead and have a look if anyone else has it, but I don't think they do. Okay, but luckily it is craftable. Okay guys, literally the one item we're missing to craft this Flame Orb is a Ender Pearl. So I think we should go try find an Abra. They spawn pretty commonly in Woodland Mansions and I know exactly where one is. Alright, here we are in the Woodland Mansion, so let's go ahead and just wait it out. Oh, actually, I think, is that a Raltus has just spawned in? Because those also drop Ender Pearls, if I'm remembering correctly. Although it's not 100% guaranteed, so we're just gonna have to get a bit lucky here. And there we go, we actually got one, perfect. Okay, so now we've got that Flame Orb, we can go ahead and get ourselves the camera update. So now we're just missing 2 Mega Stones, Hawlucha and Mewtwo. The Hawlucha recipe is pretty easy, so let's go ahead and grab that quickly. Boom, there we go. Now we're just missing the legendary Megastone. Now the question is, do I want to get Mewtwo X or Mewtwo Y? Okay, now I think I'm going to have to choose Mega Mewtwo X. Because firstly, not only I just think the design's a bit better, but secondly, our team currently has 3 special attackers and 2 physical attackers. So having a 3rd physical attacker will round that completely out 50-50. So to craft it, we're just going to need 2 iron, a diamond, and a punching glove. Now I'm not too sure if we actually have a punching glove, so we're going to have to check. And luckily we have not 1 but 2, so that is perfect. So if we just put this into the crafting table, boom, we have now got all 6 Megastones. Now we just need to equip them. Okay, starting with Gyarados, then Victory Bell, then Garchomp, then Camerupt, Lucha, finally Mewtwo. Okay, now let's go ahead and Mega Evolve every single one of these guys to have a look at our team fully put together. Okay guys, and here they all are. And now let me give you guys a 1x1 display and you guys can tell me down in the comments which one you think is the best. First up we've got Gyarados. Next up we have Victory Bell, Mega Garchomp Z, Camerupt, Hawlucha, or the legendary Mewtwo. For me, not gonna lie, I really like the Garchomp Mega. I think they've done a great job with the Cobblemon model as well. So with that being said, we have completed our Mega team. If you did enjoy, please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Today, I'm going to be building a massive zoo in Hardcore Cobblemon for every type of Pokemon. This means I'll be building 18 custom enclosures, each with their own habitats corresponding to that type. On top of that, I'll have to catch a ton of different Pokemon to live throughout these enclosures. So if you want to see what the final build looks like, stick around to the end to find out. Okay, so first things first, before we start actually building the zoo, we obviously have to find an area to build the zoo at, so let's set out and look for a nice piece of flat land. Okay guys, this plains biome here honestly doesn't look like a terrible spot to build it at. It's just nice and flat, and it's kind of a neutral biome. Like if we were to build in a snowy peaks or a cherry blossom biome, that would be way too similar to ice type or fairy type. Alright, let's grab this waystone I brung and set it down here, just so we can get back and forth here to our base very, very easily. Alright, and now just let me farm some of the main resources we're going to need for each pen. Now, simply because we've got to mine a bunch of stone, I'm going to keep re-rolling enchants on a diamond pick until it becomes Silk Touch. Okay guys, so in each pen in the zoo, there's going to be its own custom habitat corresponding to that type. For example, for fire, we might have the nether biome. Now, I don't have the resources for these habitats yet, but for the most part, I should have the resources for the pen. So let's head to the zoo and build some. Okay, so we've arrived to where we're going to build the zoo. Let me just build a couple and show you guys what they're going to look like without the added Pokemon or biomes. Alright, now it's safe to say that I used more materials than I thought, but this is what one empty pen without any Pokemon or habitat looks like. Now the one thing which is missing is I'm probably going to color code maybe the top of these just to represent what type is in the pen. Right, now that pen itself is done, let me build the path around it and show you what that will look like as well. Oh my god, what's that shiny? I just heard a shiny noise. No way, here it is, Fido. This does not even look shiny to me, to be honest. Either way, that's insane that we just ran into a shiny like that. Alright, this is what the basics of the path is going to look like. Now, I have detailed the walls of the path slightly, I just need to detail the path itself, but I'm going to hold off on that for now. Alright, so first things first, we need to decide what to do with this pen. Now, I think for the first pen, we keep it simple. We keep it near to what it is already. So I think we should just go for the grass type. Let's go ahead and break in here and build the habitat. Now, for grass type, I'm going to keep it pretty simple. All I'd want is maybe just a raised layer of grass, which is then bone meal to obviously give the grass some life. And then maybe just a couple decorations, such as a tree or a fallen over log. I think grass is probably going to be one of the most simple types we're going to do. All right, here we are. So how about we put an oak sapling around here, and then on the opposite side, put a birch sapling. Okay, perfect. I like how the birch tree has grew tall as well. Now, just for a little bit of extra detail, let's do a fallen over log. And we could potentially add some leaves to that for detail. Right, now we have to wait out a bit for this grass to grow in. Alright, I did not realize grass took that long to spread, but now that's done, let's go ahead and bring some life to this enclosure. Alright, now I'm going to break some of the tall grass because I think it just blocks the view a little bit too much from the outside. Alright, now I also want to add some leaf litter because you literally can't go in a forest now without encountering loads of leaf litter. Finally, I've got a couple lilacs just to brighten up the area. And that is the habitat of the grass type enclosure done. Let me just liven up this outside ring a little bit. So now essentially the only thing missing from that now is the Pokemon itself and the color coding at the top. But before we do that, I want to show you guys what these enclosures are going to look like connected. So let me just build the basic of a pen right here. Alright, boom, it's done. So this is what they look like side by side. Now I also decided to add some trapdoors to the frame for depth, and also these corners were originally 2 pillars if you can't remember, but now I've made them 1 because it just looks a little bit cleaner. Now before we set out to catch the Pokemon for these 2 pens, what I want to do is quickly build the habitat of this one. Now I think it'll be nice to have a fire habitat next to the grass habitat for some nice contrast, so I think we're mostly going to need nether materials for this one. So I guess we're heading to the nether. Alright, we've got all the materials, so let's get building. My plan is to have one side as, you know, just the typical nether biome and the other side as a soul sand valley. Alright, here we go, it is done. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, even added a little happy gas for the extra detail. So now our first 2 habitats are done, I think we should go out and collect the Pokemon for them. Now in terms of how many Pokemon, I feel like 6 per enclosure should be enough. You know, if some end up having more or less, I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference, but the same amount as a full team sounds about right to me. Now in terms of the Pokemon themselves, I'm not really too bothered as to which Pokemon we get. I just want a variety in evolution line, so I don't want any duplicates or all to be fully evolved Pokemon. I think we need some variety in here. Alright, so let's start off with the grass Pokemon. A good start should be this forest just over here. Now I already have a Leafeon in my PC which I plan to put in there, so we just need about 5 more Pokemon. If you're curious as to how we're going to get the Pokemon to be in there, it's just a block added by the Cobblemon mod, which is called the pasture block, which lets Pokemon roam freely nearby it. Okay, it looks like we've found our first Pokemon, the olive Pokemon Smoliv. Alright, we found ourselves an Applin. This is going to be quite a cool one to have. Okay, let's get this to Waddle as well. And finally, this Seedot should be a pretty cool addition as well. Okay, you know what? We called the Seedot, but I've just spotted a Gloom on our map, so I want to make that last addition. Alright, I have evolved some of the Pokemon, so these Pokemon on the left are going to go in our grass habitat. Alright, so let's break in here, and just in the center we're going to dig a little hole to hide our pasture block in. And then we just need to go ahead and get in our pasture block and put them all in like so. And now as you can see, they will literally all just roam this habitat freely. So let's get out of here and block this back up. And that is our grass habitat basically complete. So now on to our fire habitat. And there's not more of an abundant place to find these fire Pokemon than in the nether. Alright, let's start off by catching ourselves this Darumaka. Right guys, there's 2 Charcadets right here. It would be so sick to have both Ceruledge and Armarouge in one habitat. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's grab this Magby. Okay, wow, there's just a wild Center Scorch. Let's go ahead and catch this. And then lastly, let's grab ourselves this Houndour. Alright, boom, so let's go ahead and evolve these Pokemon and then get back to the fire habitat. Alright, let's go ahead and put in all of our fire Pokemon and cover this back up. And if I'm being 100% honest, I could definitely see this turning out to be my favorite habitat. So there we go, our first 2 habitats are completely done, except for the potential color coding I'm going to do. But we're going to leave that for now. For now, let's expand this into a 2x2 zoo, so add 2 more habitats here and here. Okay, boom, the empty enclosures are completed. Now for these two I'm thinking water and electric, because I think aside from fire and grass, those two are probably the most notable types in Pokemon. And as you can see, when we have 4 of these enclosures joined together, it's going to leave this gap in the middle. Now I'm not too sure exactly what we're going to do with them yet, but I guess we're probably going to put some filler builds in there, like fountains, benches and statues, just to give more life to the zoo. So I guess let's get started by building the habitat for these. I'm going to do water first, because I am literally lost as to what to do for the electric enclosure. So hopefully I can think of something by the time we've done the water habitat. Initially, for the water habitat, I was thinking just to do like an ocean and just fill this up with water and then just have, you know, coral, whatever in there. But I think it would look a bit better if we did a beach instead. So with that being said, let's first dig out where we want the water to go. Okay, boom, this area I've dug out is where the water is going to go, and where I'm standing it's going to be the sand. So let's go ahead and replace it with the sand just to see what it would look like. Alright, boom, this is what it looks like. I do have some seagrass and kelp and stuff to put in there once the water's filled up. But to actually fill it up properly, we're going to have to cover it back up, so then all the water which runs down actually fills the whole thing and it's not an absolute pain to fill in. Alright, and that is the water habitat done. Probably the most basic of the habitats so far, but honestly, I think it does look good. And it suits the type very well, obviously. I just think we need the Pokemon in there to really bring this to life. Oh yeah, and we also need to just bring this outside to life as well to make the area pop a little bit more. Alright, so I've been messing around with the electric habitat a little bit, trying to figure something out, and this is what I've came up with. Now, obviously, it isn't perfect, but I think the idea is pretty cool. It's just lightning hitting a lightning rod, which sends energy surging through the ground. Because electric-type Pokemon don't really have a habitat, but there would definitely be loads spawning around this if it was real. So now both the electric and water type enclosures are done. We just need to go get the Pokemon for them, and then we need to decorate this empty center a bit as well. Guys, I've literally just run into a Percephalon in a random dark forest. I literally just RTP to try find somewhere to look for electric types, and straight away this Percephalon just spawned in. When we build the ghost habitat, this guy can go right in there. Alright, it looks like the first electric type Pokemon we're catching is going to be this Electrike. I see a mining over here as well, so let's go pick that up. No way, I don't think timing can be much more perfect than this. A Jolteon has just spawned. Okay, I'm not too sure what this Mareep is doing in a cave, but let's grab this as well. Okay, perfect. Over here is Mining's counterpart, Plusle. Alright, we can add this Pawmi as well. Okay, and it looks like our final electric type will be this Yamper over here. And just like that, the electric habitat is fully done with the Pokemon. So moving on from the electric habitat, let's go to the water one. Now that everything's grown and it looks a lot better in my opinion, we just need to get the Pokemon for it, which should be the most straightforward thing yet. We just need to head to the ocean. And just like that, our water habitat is done. We have some Pokemon chilling in the ocean and we have some chilling on the beach. That is absolutely beautiful. So far, I think this build is coming along great. We've got 4 habitats done already. I just want to figure out what to do with this middle section here. There's going to be quite a few of these like middle sections, so I think we're going to have to do something slightly unique with each one so the zoo doesn't look copy-paste. But I think for this one, I think we should keep it really, really simple and just build a fountain. And like that, the fountain is complete, so the 4 first habitats are all done. I'm really, really happy with how it's turning out. Just walking through and looking at them all is honestly sick. So now we need to expand even further, but each expansion I make is getting harder and harder because of the terrain around us. I'm having to do more and more terraforming each time. Yeah, I don't know if you guys realize this, but also these enclosures use way more materials than it looks like. Like just the pen itself, each one is using like a few stacks of logs, 4 stacks of glass panes, and then not to mention the actual habitat's materials. So I'm getting pretty tired of having to farm materials individually after each one, so what I'm going to do is go on one massive material gathering. So hopefully by the end of this we should have enough materials that we won't have to worry about that for a little while. Alright guys, so we now have a bunch of materials. The main thing I'm worried about here is the glass panes, as I think each enclosure uses about like 4 stacks of glass panes or something crazy like that. So that's going to run out after just a few enclosures, but we'll be able to deal with that just fine. For now, let's go ahead and expand our area. Now I think I'm going to expand this way because it looks the easiest from a terraforming perspective. And when we build these next 2 enclosures, it's going to give us another one of these gaps. So I really need to put my mind to what some of these gaps are going to be used for, because I don't want to repeat any of the same design in each one. But let's just put that aside for now, and now terraform this land. And done. Okay, so now the terraforming's done, we have to build the enclosures. But let's first decide what two types we want to be here. I honestly think Psychic and Dark would look absolutely sick side by side. So you know what, that's exactly what we're gonna do. And even cooler than that, for the Psychic habitat we can have the End, and for the Dark habitat we can use the Deep Dark. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Firstly, let's go ahead and build the enclosures. Boom, that is both the enclosures finished. Now, like I said, these enclosures are going to feature the End and the Deep Dark, so we're going to have to travel to both of those areas. Now, on this world, I have actually yet to travel to the End. And I know, it's episode 4 of a hardcore world, and I haven't been to the End. What the hell do I mean? Well, that's because Cobbleverse, the mod pack this is on, actually blocks the spawn of a typical Ender Dragon, and instead replaces it with a shiny Rayquaza. Now, I do think that is cool, as it keeps the pack more Pokemon focused, but I haven't been there yet, because I just thought, you know, it kind of wouldn't be fair if I got a shiny Rayquaza so early, and I also wasn't prepared. But now, if you look at our team on the left, we are very prepared. We even have our own legendary already, and we have a Master Ball. Now, obviously, I wouldn't like to use that Master Ball, but if it comes down to it, we will. So I guess it's about time we head to the End for the very first time. Now, luckily for us, I'm fairly sure everything we need to actually get to the End is available in this shop. Let's go ahead and speak to this trader here, and yep, both Ender Pearls and Blaze Rods are available to us. So let's go ahead and buy ourselves 12 Ender Pearls and 6 Blaze Rods, turn the Blaze Rods into Blaze Powder, and then grab ourselves 12 Eye of Enders. Now I've just got to use these Eyes of Enders to actually locate the stronghold, so I'll see you there. Alright, so we've made it to the stronghold, and now we've just got to upgrade the portal. Only needs 10 or less Eye of Enders because a couple broke on the way here. Okay, so we've made it to the portal room. Please only need 10. Okay, boom, it needs a less than 10. That is beautiful. And right there is our shiny Rayquaza. That is actually insane. Okay, he's attacking me. There we go. Okay, let's try our luck with a quick ball. Okay, the quick ball didn't work. And I didn't realize he was going to be such a high level, so we might actually have to Master Ball him. But we'll wait till we get put down to our last Pokemon to result to that. Okay, we've got him down to 13% health, so let's start just chucking some Pokeballs at this guy. No way. We actually caught him with a Dust Ball. That is insane. So we get to save our Master Ball. That is perfect. Alright, let's go ahead and grab ourselves this Dragon Egg as well for obviously the Dragon Enclosure, because why would we not? Alright, so we got most of the materials, so let's build this Psychic Enclosure. Now, I got Black Concrete and Purple Glass because I'm going to try make the Void, but I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do it. Alright, the enclosure is done. As you can see, we've got the chorus fruits growing. We have that end crystal in the middle, which I had to carefully enclose in iron bars because if any Pokemon touches it, it's obviously going to explode everything around it. Alright, so now the enclosure's done, all that's left to do is to go ahead and put in all of our Psychic Pokemon. Okay, I was planning on only doing this for the flying enclosure, but because most Psychic Pokemon can fly, I think this enclosure needs a dome so the Psychic Pokemon can't fly out. Okay, the dome is done, but it's pretty bad. Let me show you. I think it will look a lot better once we've done the color coding where we just put the concrete slabs all around the outside here. So, you know what, on that topic, how about we just color code everything we've got so far? Alright guys, the color coding for what we've got done so far is now done. I honestly really like it. I think it adds the much needed color to the zoo. And also it makes the dome look a bit better and more blended in with the enclosure itself. Now, as I said, I was only planning on building that dome for the flying type area, but the Psychic types are mostly flyers as well, so I just had to. And think about it, I'll probably have to do it for Dragon as well, and potentially even Bug. Anyways, with that being said, let's move on to our Dark Enclosure. And as I said, this one is going to be the Deep Dark. Okay, boom, just like that, the Dark Enclosure is done. Now we need to set out and catch some Dark Pokemon. Alright, so we've got all the Pokemon, so all that's left to do is to go ahead and input them. And just like that, our Dark habitat is now complete. Now, one thing I'll say I'm noticing is as we progress, we've got less and less Pokemon to choose from. Okay, take Shiftry, for example. It's got 2 types, but if we put it in the Grass Enclosure, then we can't use it for the Dark one. Meaning we're going to have less and less options for each enclosure. But that's something which is going to get harder later. For now, I think we're completely fine. Okay, so now both these enclosures are done. We've just got this empty space to deal with. And I honestly think if we can come up with a bench design, just 2 benches facing either way could look good. Maybe something in the middle to separate them, but who knows. Alright, it's done. I ended up making like a ring of benches around this totally not so custom looking custom tree. Yeah, I think it looks pretty decent to be fair. So now we have 6 of the 18 enclosures done, meaning we're officially 1/3 of the way there. So now let's expand this into a 3x3 zoo by building the next 3 enclosures rapid fire style. Alright, all three enclosures are done, and if you can't already tell by the color coding, this is Dragon, Fairy, and Steel. That's a type trio which works perfectly together. Now, my only problem about these three is aside from Fairy, Dragon, and Steel don't really have a specific habitat. Fairy has Cherry Blossom, that works perfectly, but either of these two don't really have a specific habitat in game. So we're gonna have to be creative. For the Dragon one, I was thinking some sort of shrine could look absolutely awesome, or maybe something to do with the Ender Dragon. And for Steel, I wasn't really too sure. So let's just start out on the simple side, and let's go with the Fairy for now. It doesn't really get much more simple than just the Cherry Blossom biome, so I don't have much explaining to do. Let's just build it real quick. Okay, the fairy habitat is done, and here it is. Now, I honestly do think this is pretty boring. Although I do like the cherry grove, I think it is just a bit lackluster for this habitat. If you have any suggestions on what I could add in here, please let me know in the comments. Okay, so now that's done, let's move on to the dragon area. Again, I really don't have anything specific. I'm thinking just maybe building some kind of shrine. I don't know, though. Okay, boom. The shrine is done. This is the design I managed to come up with. I honestly quite like it, to be honest. I think it's quite nice, but I don't know what to do the floor as. That's the only issue. Alright, all the dirt's dug out. I'm fairly sure I might just do like some paths leading up to each side of the shrine and then fill in this area with I don't even know what. Okay, the dragon enclosure is now fully done, and honestly, the more I look at this, the more I realize that it isn't really a habitat, but I guess that's something we're just gonna have to deal with. Let's move on to the third one, steel. Now, I still haven't thought of anything better, so for steel, we're just gonna have like some area with like blacksmith stuff, I don't know, and then like some iron and stuff. It's gonna look completely random, but it's gonna be a steel habitat, I guess. Okay, and just like that, the steel habitat is done. Now, if you're planning on asking me what exactly this habitat is, just don't, because I don't really even know myself. It's kind of just a mix-up of all things steel I could think of. But now all three of these habitats are done, let's move on to arguably the harder part about these three types. Finding the Pokemon. Dragon, Fairy, and Steel have got to be some of the most scarce Pokemon in Cobblemon. But I guess without further ado, let's go ahead and set out to catch them. Alright guys, we have everything we need. We have the fairy types up here, the steel types in the middle, and the dragon types at the bottom. The fairy types actually consist of 2 shinies. Okay, and boom, just like that, all 3 of the types are now completed. So that means we've just got to fill these 2 dead spaces here. I'm thinking this one can be some kind of mini statue, and this one can be maybe some kind of pond. Honestly, the things I put inside of these are literally just the first thing to come to my head. So let's go ahead and execute both of those ideas. Alright, boom, and just like that, both the pond and the statue are completed. So now this area is fully done. And this means that our zoo is now officially halfway done. Anyway, now that the zoo is halfway done, I think we should ramp up our production speed, and let's just go ahead and build all of the 9 next empty closures to just get it out of the way. Okay, and just like that, our zoo is doubled in size, and honestly, this makes the zoo look so much bigger. It actually looks huge now. Okay, so out of these 9 types we've got left, they could be split up into 3s pretty easily. Ice, rock, ground, ghost, poison, bug, and then normal flying and fighting. That works perfectly, and let's just pick a random one and start with ice, rock, and ground here. So first things first, let's just go ahead and color code so we know exactly where they're going to go. Alright, there we go, the color coding is now finished. Now, as you can see, this is ice, this is rock, and this is ground, but for rock, we actually had to use our first non-concrete slab. I think it's probably going to be the only one. Thinking of all the other types, I feel like this is going to be the only one we have to do it, because no really color of concrete works for rock type. The closest match is brown, but not only is ground type right next to it using the brown color, but also it's not like a perfect match. So instead I settled for these oak tile slabs, which honestly look pretty good. The only annoying thing is they have these borders, which all the other concrete slabs don't, but especially from far away, it's not really that noticeable. Now these are all pretty easy types to build habitats for, because I'm fairly sure we could just rip them all straight from biomes in Minecraft. Like ice type is obviously either, you know, like a frozen ocean or snowy peaks, just something like that. It's just going to be, well, a bunch of ice and snow. Rock type is just going to be a rocky mountain. And ground type there's actually a couple options for, like a desert or a mesa. So I don't know which one we're going to do yet. We'll leave that one to last, and let's just start with the ice habitat. So I'm just going to head somewhere to get some blocks for this and then build out this habitat. Alright, boom, the ice habitat is done. It's simple, yet honestly, I love it. Anyways, let's move swiftly on to the rock enclosure. Well, I'm just going to keep it very simple yet again. It's just going to be a rocky area, essentially. You know, just some stones, some gravel, throw a couple ores in there, and then add a couple bits which are higher than the others. And then, yeah, that's literally it. So let's just do that quickly. Okay, and the rock enclosure is done. Now, I'll be totally honest, it's pretty mid and basic, but it's what is needed for the rock type, so you can't really complain. Now, finally moving on to probably the actual hardest one out of the three, surprisingly, ground type. Now, although desert and mesa, I think mesa just works a bit better for ground type. I feel like desert has more of a wide range of types, whereas mesa is almost like fully ground type in my eyes. Alright, the ground habitat is now completed, meaning we are done with all three of these habitats. Now, on top of these types being easy for habitats, they are also probably some of the most abundant Pokemon, especially if you go to specific biomes, so they are going to be super easy to catch. So let's just quickly get that catching out of the way. But before that, if you've made it this far in the video, I think I deserve a sub, as I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers, so if you could help me get there, I would really appreciate it. Alright, and once again, we have completed another 3 habitats. I'm super happy with how these 3 came out, to be honest. And like usual, that's leaving us with these 2 dead spaces. And honestly, I am starting to run out of ideas. So I don't know what exactly I'm going to do, but I think instead of just doing these 2 dead spaces, there's a total of 6 left. We may as well just get through them all and just do all 6 of the dead spaces. So then it's only habitat building and catching Pokemon we have left. So let's just get this boring bit out of the way and speedrun these 6 builds. Alright, so I have now filled in each one of those empty spots. And as you can see, towards the end, I was heavily running out of ideas. I built a dinosaur statue and whatever the hell this bench design is and this lamppost design is. But yeah, it honestly looks pretty good. So now we just have the last 6 enclosures to finish, and that's all we've got left to do. Now, the next 3 types we're going to do is going to be poison, ghost, and bug. That's probably the most sinister type trio we're going to do in this whole video. Now, for the bug type, I'm thinking the jungle biome because it's nice and easy, and obviously jungles are infested with bugs. For ghost type, I was thinking a graveyard. There's not really a biome for ghost types, but a graveyard absolutely fits perfectly, and I think it would just look amazing. And then finally, for poison type, I was maybe thinking some kind of sewer, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so that's the one we're going to leave for last. But now let's start with the easiest one, I think, and let's just do the bug biome. No way, I was just about to no way, that's a duplicate shiny. As I was saying, I was just about to show the finished jungle habitat, but this Pawmi has just spawned in. But unfortunately, if you guys remember earlier in this video, we literally caught a shiny Pawmi. Out of every Pokemon which could have spawned in the plains biome, of course it had to be a duplicate. We honestly must have like less than 10 shinies, so getting a duplicate is honestly insane. Anyways, as I was going to say, our jungle habitat is completed. To be fair, I'm decently happy with how it turned out, but if you think something looks off about the jungle biome, it's because normally the grass is like a much more green, like saturated color. Obviously, I can't actually change the biome it's in, so it's still just the plains biome grass. With that being said though, it still looks great, in my opinion. But yeah, that was pretty easy, but let's move swiftly on to one which is going to take a little bit more thinking, and that is the ghost habitat. Okay, so essentially I'm going to lay it out a bit like this. So there's going to be graves along each of these rows, and I don't know what else I'm going to add, but I'm probably going to have to think of something, otherwise it's going to look a bit too empty. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to need to find a way to make this look a bit less bland, but let's just place the graves for now. Alright, our ghost habitat is done, so I did end up just settling for some basic graveyard. And yeah, it's literally just graves in rows, and obviously I decorated it with dead bushes, skulls, etc. with a tree at the end of this. And I've got some candles on lightning rods, just for some nice lighting, and some soul lanterns as well. With that being said though, let's move on to the final one in this type trio, and that is poison. As I said, I don't know what I'm yet going to do for the poison habitat. I was originally thinking some kind of sewer, but I don't think that'll be able to have a good execution essentially. But an idea in my my friend gave me is to build some kind of toxic wasteland, which I think is a pretty decent idea. I'm thinking maybe just like a pool of, I don't know, like toxic waste. We can do that with glass panes and green concrete, and then kind of just like a post-apocalyptic area. So like dead trees with nothing around it. It's just going to be like a barren wasteland essentially. It's not going to convey poison in the traditional sense, but it does still get the type across in my opinion. Alright, the poison habitat is done. As you can see, I did end up settling for like a vat of toxic waste and like a barren wasteland all around it. I think that is a pretty decent way to represent the poison type. With that being said, I think these two habitats are going to look a lot better when they're filled out with their Pokemon inside of it. I think the Pokemon themselves are really going to be what's going to bring these two habitats specifically to life. With that being said, before we move on to catching any Pokemon, I think these habitats are missing something. Alright, boom, and now the color coding's done, so they look much more representative of their type. I had to settle with magenta for poison because I didn't want two purple colors right next to each other. So with that being said, everything about these habitats is complete except for obviously the final stage, catching the Pokemon. Guys, no way, I'm in a snow biome, just obviously looking for the Pokemon to catch. This Squirtle clearly has a problem, but an Iron Thorns, the Paradox Pokemon, has just spawned in. Here he is. Alright, this is sick. Let's go ahead and catch this guy and then get back to catching all of our Pokemon. Alright, so I have now filled out the habitats with all of their Pokemon. I think these Pokemon really bring these habitats specifically to life, especially the habitat like the poison one. So with that being said, we now just need to move on to the final type 3 in this whole video. We are finally nearing the end, so the final type 3 is normal, flying, and fighting. Alright, so first things first, let's settle on a basic plan for each habitat for each of these types. I honestly think for something like flying, that's obviously going to be a dome, but I think what we should do is have some sort of glass panes on the floor, which is going to make it look like there's a sky below it. And then maybe have like a mountain peak coming through the middle. So it's going to look like a really high up mountain if I manage to get the effect right, which I don't know if I will be able to, but I'm sure I'll figure out a way to make it look good. Fighting and normal is honestly where things get tricky, because both don't really have a habitat. Obviously, I think fighting, I'm going to have to do some kind of dojo, but I honestly don't know how I'm going to make it out to look good. And for normal, there's two main options. We could just settle with a plains biome, but it's kind of boring. If we could come up with something else, it would probably look a lot better. For example, I was just thinking like the interior of a house, like some kind of bedroom. Like it doesn't really get much more normal than that. So let's just start with the one we're 100% on, and let's do the flying habitat. Alright, and just like that, the habitat is done. I'm not exactly happy with how it turned out, but I'm also not really annoyed. I think it's just kind of an average looking habitat. I definitely could have done better, but it's one of those where I don't know what I could have done better, but I know I could have. Anyways, now that's done, let's move on to the second type of this, and let's do the normal type. As I said earlier, there was two main options, but I think the option where we build the interior is honestly gonna look a bit silly inside of a habitat, so I think we're just gonna have to stick with like a typical plains biome. The idea we had about the interior earlier was decent, but I've come up with a better idea. I think if we just build a plains biome with a mini house in the middle, I think that would make the most sense for normal type. I don't want the house to be too big, it's just going to be a little one in the center. So without further ado, let's execute that exact plan. Alright, here is the finished normal habitat. Now it's very simple, yet I think it's good because I feel like simple is exactly what you want for a normal typing. Okay, so now both normal and flying are done, so it's time to move on to the final enclosure, fighting. Yeah guys, I thought about it, and would you guys not think a sick idea would be to have a literal Pokemon fighting area as the fighting habitat? Like the little Pokeball fighting mat arena thing, whatever you want to call it. I think it would be a great idea, so you know what? That's exactly what we're gonna do. Alright, and just like that, our final enclosure has been finished. Again, I really hope the Pokemon fill this one out because this is probably our worst habitat yet, in all honesty, but the idea was pretty cool. I just couldn't really fit a good looking arena into this tiny little enclosure. Now, before we move on to catch these Pokemon, let's quickly color code these habitats. Alright, and now that that is out of the way, the last step we need to do before catching the Pokemon for these habitats is putting a dome on this flying type enclosure, because obviously otherwise the flying type Pokemon will fly away. Right, the dome is now built, meaning we can move on to our final stage of this entire zoo project. That is insane to say, but we just have to catch the Pokemon for these last three habitats. So without further ado, let's go. And just like that, all the Pokemon have been put in their enclosures, meaning these 3 habitats are now complete. And that means our entire zoo is finished. This has honestly been crazy, but I am super happy with how it turned out. So it's safe to say not only have we built this massive zoo, but we've also caught some insane Pokemon and overall completed what we had to do. So if you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. As I said earlier, I'm on my way to 1000. Hope to see you in the next one. Today I'm becoming a Dragon-type gym leader in my hardcore Cobblemon world. To do this, I'll be building my own custom gym which features an unstoppable team and a difficult gym challenge. And at the end, my friend is going to join this world and attempt to take down my gym. Will I manage to come out victorious? Stick around to the end to find out. Alright, so the first goal for this video is going to be to build our Dragon-type team. But before we do that, there's a couple things we need to work on first. For example, our current level cap is 80, so I've headed to the end because we need to take on the Kanto League as quick as possible to up our level cap to 100. Because I want to build the strongest team possible, so everything's going to need to be max level. Alright, we've arrived at the Kanto League, and this actually just looks insane. And right now, our team is kind of mumbled up. It's like 5 Pokemon which can Mega Evolve and a Rayquaza. But, you know, it shouldn't matter all that much. We can probably breeze through the first few trainers, but I really hope I've not just jinxed myself. Alright, now I'm fairly sure because our level cap is actually currently 80, we're going to have to swap out our level 100 Rayquaza for this Halucha. And I think we should swap out our Gengar for this Camerupt as well. Alright, so starting with Lorelei, let's get through this as fast as we can. Alright, boom, despite ice being a big weakness of our team, we managed to take that down pretty easily. So let's move swiftly on and see if we can take down the next trainer. Alright, and just like that, we have defeated Bruno as well. Now let's go ahead and attempt the next battle, but I'm not fully confident as we're slightly under-leveled for this one. So we might have to do some training and come back, but let's just try it anyway. Alright, so we did take the L on that one, so let's go back to our base and train up a little bit. I think what we honestly need to do is get our team some actual held items, because they're all just holding Mega Stones right now. Alright, so we now have every Pokemon holding a held item, and I still have their Mega Stones in my inventory, so we can decide which Pokemon we want to be able to Mega Evolve before each fight. And now all we need to do is AFK this relic coin farm so we can get money for XP candies.
2000 years later.
Alright, and just like that, all our Pokemon are leveled up, so I'm very ready to reattempt this battle. Alright, boom, we managed to defeat it. Not very easily, though. That gave us quite a good item, the ability patch. That might actually prove useful later. Alright, now we're going to attempt the final Elite 4 member, but again, I don't think we're going to be able to beat it. Alright, boom, I managed to set up literally 6 whole Dragon Dances on Gyarados, and he managed to sweep Lance's whole team. And finally, we've just got to defeat the champion. However, I'm fairly sure he fights at level 100, meaning we're going to need to level up our team to level 100. So I guess let's just do exactly that by AFKing, buying candies, leveling over and over and over until it is fully done. Alright, everything is leveled and it all comes down to this. Let's go ahead and have our go. Alright, and finally, we have completed Kanto. We also get an Origin Ball for that, which is essentially a Master Ball if you don't know what that is. So now that that's done, we are actually ready to build an unstoppable Dragon team. So with that being said, to ensure our Dragon team has little to no weaknesses, we need to focus on each of Dragon's weaknesses itself. Dragon has 3 weaknesses: Fairy, Ice, and Dragon. So we need to catch a Pokemon for each of these that can take these weaknesses down. So I think if we get our Caledon and Hisuian Gudra, both being Steel Dragon types, that can cover Fairy Ice. Now obviously all of our dragons technically cover Dragon, but if we have Baxcalibur on our team, which is Dragon Ice, that's going to give more Dragon coverage. So they need to be the first Pokemon we focus on, as they're going to be the centerpieces of our team. Alright, so first things first, we need to head to a Lush Cave to find a Hisuian Gumi. Alright, boom, here we are. Oh my god, wait, no way. That's a Meltan. There's no way the second we drop into this cave a Meltan spawns. Oh my god. Alright, this is crazy. Obviously, we have to catch this thing. Alright, boom, with that out of the way, as I was going to show you, so if we go to the rare category, as you can see, a Gumi with the ID Hisuian can spawn in with a 0.23% chance, along with a Sliggoo at 0.07% chance. So essentially, we are just waiting around here until they spawn. Right, as you can see, I boxed myself up while I was AFKing, but I think, yep, a Gumi has just spawned in just over here. Now, thankfully, that didn't actually take too long, and here he is. Now we just need to obviously actually catch him. Boom, first ball, and he is caught, so that's the first member of our team. Alright, next up is Duraludon, and for this one we have to head back to the end dimension. Alright, so here we are back at the end, so if we go ahead and pull this out, as you can see, Duraludon can spawn in with a pretty decent chance at 0.45%. There are also a bunch of other cool Pokemon that can spawn here, so if we get any of those, we can't complain about that either. Alright, Duraludon is taking a little bit longer than the Gumi was taken, so what we're going to do is, instead of just sitting around AFKing, we are going to run around loading in new chunks, because that's going to heavily increase the chance of us finding a Duraludon. Okay, Okay, this is not a Duraludon, but this is so cool. A Hooper has just spawned in, and that has a 0.06% chance of spawning in, whereas Duraludon has a 0.45, so the fact we haven't come across one yet is kind of crazy, but this is still such a cool Pokemon to get. Boom, there we go, our second legendary, and we are barely even into this video at all. That is insane, but let's carry on hunting for this Duraludon. Okay, boom, there is Duraludon. Let's go ahead and work quickly and try to catch this guy. Boom, on our first quick ball, that is beautiful. So now we need to catch the final Pokemon we have on our team for the purpose of countering Dragon's weaknesses, and that is Baxcalibur. And never mind, oh my god, Cosmo has just spawned in. The third legendary, let's go. This episode has honestly been insane for legendary luck. We've had nothing close to this yet. There we go, boom, and a Xurkitree has also spawned in while I was catching that. This luck is honestly unparalleled. This is like nothing we've ever had. Okay, so now we've established the end biome is literally OP. Let's go ahead and head to a Frozen Peaks biome to attempt to find this Frigibax. Alright, here we are. So if you go ahead and pull out the Pokénav, we can see that the Frigibax can spawn in with a 0.05% chance. So that is by far the rarest one yet. I'm honestly probably going to find a little bit of a better biome than this because it's quite small, and then AFK it for the Frigibax. Alright, if you guys can't see it on my mini-map here, it is a little Frigibax. This Pokemon is honestly very cute, and I can't wait to have it on our team. So let's go ahead and try our best to catch this. And boom, we got a critical capture. That is such a satisfying sound to hear when you're catching Pokemon. Alright, so now our 3 weakness opposing Pokemon are all caught. And now let's make sure to fully evolve all of these Pokemon first. So to do that, we're first going to need a very good amount of relic coins. And as you can see, our farm is pretty empty as I emptied it out earlier. But guess what? I'm about to go do something in real life. So that means I can just leave my PC on and AFK this relic coin farm. Alright guys, it's been a while. I honestly forgot I was even AFK in this thing for a little bit. And this is how much we've got. Like, honestly, that's insane. So let's go ahead and get as many XP candies with this as we can. Alright, so every Pokemon on our team is ready to be fully evolved, basically. Frigibax is the easiest one. We could just evolve him into Arctobax, then straight into Baxcalibur. For Duraludon, we just need to put this metal alloy on him, and then we can evolve him into Arcaludon. Now, we can evolve Gumi into Sliggoo, but to evolve Sliggoo into Gudra, we need to wait for it to rain and then level it up to level 50. Now, to be honest, for some reason, it rains pretty often on my world, so let's just stick around and wait for that to happen. Alright guys, it's basically just started raining, so all we have to do is feed a large candy to Sliggoo, and as you can see, it's now able to evolve into Hisui Gudra. So when my friend joins at the end, if he has any fairies, ice, or dragon types himself, then unfortunately for him, it's not going to be as easy as he'd think. Now guys, I want to say something about this relic coin farm. Right now, it's got 10 Gimmigholes in it. This farm is honestly way too slow. If we want to get full teams up to level 100, we need way more money. We need like infinite money. So I think as a side quest, I think what I'm going to go have to do is catch a bunch of Gimmigholes. Alright, and just like that, we can put in another 10 Gimmigholes into this. So that means it's increased from 10 Gimmigholes to 20, essentially meaning the speed of this farm is pretty much doubled. For now, let's settle on and set out to catch the last 3 Pokemon we need for our Dragon team. 2 of the 3 Pokemon left I want to get, we already have. That is Dragapult and Dragalge. We already have them both in our PC. Dragapult's going to be a fast sweeper, and Dragalge's just going to be useful for more fairy coverage, and he could set up Toxic Spikes, which is a W. And then for our last Pokemon, I think we just need an overall strong Pokemon. And I think because of all of our fairy coverage, we can afford to have someone 4 times weak to fairy, Hydreigon. Not only can it be useful for breaking the bulky Pokemon, he is also my favorite pseudo legendary, so obviously I have to include him on this team. With that being said, it's easiest to find him in deep dark biomes, so let's go ahead and head there. Okay, I think I was completely wrong about the deep dark thing because they were not showing up on the Pokénav when I was in a deep dark, but we're just in a normal cave now, and as you can see, they have a chance of spawning. Alright, it literally hasn't been long at all, and a dino has just spawned in over here. That is very lucky, I think, because that was in the ultra rare bucket. Alright, as you can see on the left, we have now added the last 3 Pokemon to our squad. We just need to fully evolve Dreepy into Dragapult and then Dino into Hydreigon. Now, both of these are literally simply high-level evolutions, so we just need to absolutely feed them with XP candies. Alright, we got them both to that evolution level, so let's go ahead and evolve Dino into Zweilous and then Zweilous into Hydreigon. And then let's evolve Dreepy into Dratcloak, and finally Dratcloak into Dragapult. So now this is what our fully evolved Dragon team looks like. Alright, so before we move on to getting them all maxed out to level 100, let's first get them with the perfect nature. For that, we're going to need a bold mint, a calm mint, 2 jolly mints, a timid mint, and a modest mint. So we've just got to keep farming up all of these leaves over and over until we have the leaves we need. But if we come down here and open our chest, we can just grab some bone meal to use to just get all the leaves instantly. Alright, and just like that, we've got all the mints we need. Now, our Calodon is going to get our bold mint so he can be our physical wool. We're giving Hoswei Gudra the calm mint because that's our special wool. The modest mint's going to Dragalge for the special attack boost. Excalibur and Dragapult are both going to have a jolly mint. And then same goes for Hydreigon to maximize his speed, but this time it's timid. Alright, and the final step before leveling to level 100 is getting the perfect held items for each one. Alright, so we're going to put a choice band on Dragapult to maximize his physical damage. And then on our Calodon to make him even more bulky, we're giving him leftovers. And we need to head to the shop to buy the rest of the held items because I don't actually have them. First up, we need this black sludge. And never mind, he doesn't actually have all the held items we need. He only really has black sludge, which is going on Dragalge. All the other items are craftable, so we can do just that. First up, we got to craft some choice specs just like that, and then go ahead and put that on Hydreigon. Next up is loaded dice, which we can give to Excalibur. And lastly is the assault vest, which will go on Hoswei Gudra. And now everyone has perfect natures and perfect items. So now everything else is perfected. We're going to have to go back to a long and boring process of me AFKing, but it's just going to be a quick cut for you, so let's do that. Alright, after many hours of AFKing, as you can see, our team is now all level 100. This means our unstoppable gym leader dragon team is basically complete. Alright, so now let's actually start building the gym. First things first, we're going to fly till we find a cliffside. Alright guys, so this is the best I could find. I do think Mesa and Desert are kind of some of the best biomes in Minecraft to match the dragon type, as there's not really one which does match it well, and we've got it right where it fades in between Desert and Mesa. So essentially why we needed a cliff is because we're going to have a big arch essentially with a dragon head leading into the dragon gym, where it's going to lead you straight into a parkour challenge. If you beat that parkour challenge, then you're going to be brought into a battle room. So I've already got the idea of what I want to build here, so now let's just go ahead and execute it. Alright guys, this is what the final product looks like. I'm honestly really pleased with how it's turned out. The hallway is probably the worst part of it, to be honest, but I'm still okay with it. Cobbleverse adds custom paintings, but there was still like no dragon paintings which fit the size of this. So I settled for 2 random paintings, but I think it's fine. And these statues are added by a Cobble Furniture mod. They kind of look like a Charmander at first glance, but they're some kind of custom Pokemon, so I think they kind of fit the aesthetic. But overall, I'm really happy with it, especially with how the dragon head turns out. Considering I'm not typically a good builder, this is honestly something I'm super proud of. But anyway, the thing this hallway is going to lead into is going to be the parkour. It's going to be a difficult parkour challenge over lava, so if anyone ever fails it, then they're doomed. And as this is hardcore, they wouldn't be able to respawn. I want to make it difficult enough so that it provides a real challenge, but I also don't want it to be completely impossible. And I've never mapped any parkour, so I guess we'll see how this turns out. Alright, so here is the parkour. It's pretty short and simple, but I didn't want to make it impossible, as this is a hardcore world, so technically you only have 1 try, so making it really hard probably wasn't the best idea. But even though it's kind of just easy, like I said, let me just prove it's possible anyways. So it starts with a 2-block, 3-block into a 4-block jump. The 4-block jump can be tricky if you haven't got the right momentum to it, but if you know it's a 4-block jump, you're probably fine. Then it's like this iron bar challenge, but if you stay crouched, you literally can't fall off. Then you have to make a jump down here, and then jump up a block. Then it becomes walls. Then it becomes walls, so it's a bit more tricky to land your jump. Then there's a bit of a longer wall jump. Then from the wall, you have to actually make it to a ladder. And then from the ladder onto a block, and then this block is probably the hardest jump. It's 3 along and 1 up, but you don't have any momentum for this one. And there we go, I have completed it. And then through this door here is going to be our battle arena, where the gym battle will actually take place. But before we do that, we need to make this parkour actually deadly, so we need to have a big lava pool here. So let's take a trip to the nether and fill up this parkour course. Alright, so while recording, I've just realized the game audio hasn't been picked up like basically the whole time I've been building, so there probably won't be much footage of any of it, but obviously I'm going to show the results of all of it bit by bit. But yeah, as you can now see, we've filled in the lava, so the track is officially deadly, and it won't be as easy to complete it. I've also decorated the walls, as you could tell, got some pillars and just obviously put deep slate on the walls to match the rest of the build. So now it's complete. So now let's just head over there real quick. Alright, so now from here, we're going to have to dig this out and build a big battle arena. But I think what we're going to do is have one of those like Pokeball fighting areas, if you know what I'm talking about, but instead have it as a Master Ball. Alright guys, and here is the finished battle arena. This is where I, the gym leader, will be standing. And after finishing the parkour, this is where the challenger will be standing. With that being said, the gym is now fully completed. It has its own parkour challenge, a battle arena, and a sick entrance. So now all that's left to do is to test the strength of this gym and our team. But just before that, we're going to go in and swap out Baxcalibur's loaded dice for a choice band, as he can't learn any multi-hit moves in this because the TMs haven't been added yet. It's fine though, we're just going to have to work around that, and without further ado, it's fine though, we're just going to have to work around it, and without further ado, let's let my friend join the world. Alright guys, my friend HL Craft is now in the world. HL, do you want to say hi?
Hello, hello, hello.
His channel will be linked in the description if you want to go check his videos out. He also does hardcore Cobblemon stuff. So let's go ahead and bring him to the Dragon Gym. Alright, we've arrived at the Dragon Gym.
Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. You're going down, buddy.
Alright, so first things first, in this gym is this parkour. Now be careful, as this is obviously hardcore, so if you fall in this lava, you are officially cooked and you've lost the challenge automatically.
Okay. I do like the outside of this gym, by the way, I must admit.
Alright, I'll give you some tips as you go, but I'll try to keep it minimal.
I need more momentum. Whew. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3.
Nice. You can crouch here, and you're basically completely safe.
This is scary.
You just got to make sure not to hit the pillar.
Alright, so these are a couple wall jumps.
Yeah, they get a bit more tricky here. Just be careful. Now, be careful not to hit your head on the pillar when you do this ladder jump here. Oh, okay, you cheated it, but that's fine. That's fine. This is the hardest jump, probably. You need to make sure you get a full run and jump on the last bit of the block. Nice, there you go. You've managed to complete it.
Oh, I was so silent there.
Alright, so you've managed to take down my gym challenge, and now you need to somehow manage to defeat me. And let me give you some good luck on this, because it's not going to be easy. Alright, the battle has begun. I'm going to play it safe and use this move here.
I think I'm going to swap into a Pokemon.
Okay, he has brung in Machamp. That does make much of a difference, because he's now got the type advantage against us. Okay, amazing. We can bring in this, and I'm predicting he's going to use a fighting move. Perfect. So that fighting move is going to do 0 damage to our Dragapult, and we can go ahead and use Dragon Darts. Probably shouldn't have told him that.
Okay, I like what you're thinking, bro. I like what you're thinking. Now, I'm going to be so real. I only have normal and fighting type moves. I could not affect you there, so I do actually have to swap here. Okay, use Dragon Darts.
Okay, and we one-shotted a Staraptor. Let's go. That is beautiful. And he brings in a Gengar. Okay, I don't know what this is going to do against us, but I think we should be able to one-shot yet again. Yes, there we go. Okay, we got a critical hit there, so that might have been lucky, but Dragapult is absolutely sweeping right now. And he brings in Tinkaton. Okay, this might be cooked. Tinkaton we have the worst type matchup against a Tinkaton. Okay, we're gonna have to switch out here. Okay, I think Tinkaton's a physical attacker, so we're gonna swap into our Alot here because he's a very tanky physical defender. Okay, Play Rough didn't do that much damage to us, and we have leftovers to heal us back up. So let's go ahead and go with a Flash Cannon. Knockoff. Okay, that is bad because that means we no longer have our leftovers, making us a bit less tanky, but I think we should still be able to pull through. Okay, and I think that should be your Tinkaton down, which I think probably was the only Pokemon on your team which posed a real threat against me. We don't know though. Let's see what you're bringing next. This might... Okay, he brought in Blastoise, but I've got a perfect counter for that. Although this move here I've just used takes 2 turns to charge up, so... Okay, he's using an Iron Defense against a special attacker. Interesting. And boom! Blastoise is down just like that, leaving you with how many Pokemon? 2 or 1? Okay, he's brought in Scizor. Okay, that's another interesting matchup. I think our Caledon might just be able to stick sweeping here.
I've realized I've made a big mistake.
Okay, he's setting up with Swords Dance. This could be bad, because what Swords Dance does is boost his attacks.
Let me tell the fans, Swords Dance actually ups the attack by 2 stages.
Okay, we've got a Pokemon Professor here. Alright, I think we might just be able to finish this off here with a last Dragon Pulse. Boom, and just like that, you have lost the gym challenge. How do you feel, HL?
Don't even care, mate. No, don't even care. Don't even care.
He is so bothered. You lost,
I don't even get a badge. I lost. Oh my, not even a pity badge.
Okay, wait, come here. No, you do have a pity badge. Okay, there you go. Enjoy it.
Can I have your Mega Band? Please,
you know what you can have? You can have leaving. You can leave this world and never join back again. All right, there we go. He's left out of pure shame, and our Caledon was definitely the MVP of that battle. So just like that, not only have we built an amazing Dragon Gym featuring a challenge and a battle arena, we have also built an unstoppable Dragon team and proved its strength by defeating my friend. So that's a perfect place to wrap off this video. See you next time. Today I'm going to catch every Pokemon from the Kanto region in my hardcore Cobblemon world. To do this I'm going to have to catch 151 different Pokemon, including 5 legendaries and many other powerful Pokemon. How exactly will I achieve all of this? Watch until the end to find out. Alright guys, to start, it makes sense to start with the first Pokemon in the Pokedex, the starters. So starting with Bulbasaur, let's just head to a jungle biome. Alright, here we are, and we're going to need 3 Bulbasaurs, which as you can see on here, there are a 0.02% chance. The reason we need 3 instead of 1 is because this is a living dex challenge. If we were just completing the normal dex, we would just have to catch 1 Pokemon and evolve it twice, and that would count as 3 entries. But for us, we have to have the whole evolution line in our PC. And since there's 3 members of the evolution line, we have to catch 3 Bulbasaur total. With that being said, let's make sure to catch any Kanto Pokemon we see in this jungle, such as this Meowth here. Alright guys, it's been a little while, and we've accumulated a nice amount of Kanto Pokemon from this jungle, a lot of which need to be evolved, but we've had 0 luck with any Bulbasaurs. So to improve spawn odds, what I'm going to do is start chopping down all the trees, as I'm fairly sure Bulbasaur can only spawn on the ground, and he needs access to light as well, so this should just give him more room to spawn. Okay guys, this is cool. A Brute Bonnet has just spawned in. This is not a Kanto Pokemon, but we're obviously going to catch it anyways, because this is a very cool Paradox Pokemon. Okay guys, this isn't a Bulbasaur either, but another cool spawn, a shiny Darumaka. Alright guys, I've cleared out a very decent bit of this jungle here, so now hopefully this gives us a little bit of better odds. So now I'm just going to AFK for a Bulbasaur, and if none spawns in, then I'm probably just going to keep destroying the rest of this jungle. Okay, no Bulbasaurs are spawning, but I think I know a way we can improve the odds. And that is by making Pokesnacks. I've never done it before, but I'm fairly sure we could boost the rarity and chances of a specific type spawning in using them. To make them, we're first going to need to milk our milk tank. Then we could take this Combi out so we can get a honey bottle. Then from our chest, we need to grab 3 hearty grains, a Vivichoke, a Kebia berry, and then an enchanted golden apple. So I'm fairly sure we just have to throw this all in the campfire pot. Okay, I actually need to go grab 1 more honey bottle. Alright, we just put the second honey bottle in, and then we put the enchanted golden apple and the Kebia berry in the seasonings. And as you can see, not only does it boost the rarity, it also increases the chance for poison types and shinies. Now as you can see, the things we need out of here is a 10 times chance for poison types and the plus 10 in the rarity bucket boost. So let's go ahead and cook that, and this should hopefully get us a Bulbasaur. Alright, so we're back in the jungle. Let's just place this down and see how much it helps. Yes! Oh my, Ivysaur has finally spawned in. As you can see, I made another Pokesnack, this one times 10 the boost of grass and poison type. But finally we've got an Ivysaur. So now we've caught this, let's just catch 2 more. Okay, boom, just like that, our third and final Bulbasaur should hopefully be caught. Bang. This is what's left of the Pokesnacks. I had to actually make more because we ran out. But now the Bulbasaur line is completely done. We just need to evolve them. We also got all of these Pokemon from the jungle as well. So that was definitely a big success. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and evolve a lot of those Pokemon we just caught to actually fill out the decks even more. Alright, everything is evolved, leaving us with all of these Pokemon. Now I'm going to separate them into dex order. Okay, so I'm done, and as you can see, there are a lot of gaps, but I hope you could tell that this is going to look sick once it is fully filled out. But now we're finally done with that, I have a spare Scyther, which I'm going to put on our team, teach False Swipe, give him a metal coat to hold, then use a link cable on him, so I can then evolve him into Scizor, and finally just give him a bunch of XP candies. Now we finally have a False Swiper on our team. People have been telling me to do this for ages, and what this does is it allows you to get Pokemon down to 1 HP, making it way easier to catch them. And considering we still have over 100 Pokemon to catch, I thought we needed to do this as soon as possible. Okay guys, so now we've completed the Bulbasaur line and caught a bunch of Pokemon in the jungle. We need to head to the Windswept Hills to find Charmander. Alright guys, we're at the place where Charmander spawns. As you can see, you can spawn him with a 0.03% chance and Charmeleon 0.02% chance. We'll probably have to end up crafting more Pokesnacks, but for now, let's just run around. Oh my god, no way, a Charmander's literally just spawned in. I didn't even realize. Okay, that's giving me hope that the rates for this guy are a lot easier than Bulbasaur. Alright guys, so as you can see, we've came to a Basalt Deltas because this is the other biome Charmander could spawn in, and as you can see, the chances are much higher, and they are the only ultra rare spawn. So it was definitely a good idea to come here. I'm glad I decided to check it out. Oh guys, it's not shown on the minimap, but I saw it a second ago. A second Charmander has just spawned in over here. There we go, you can see it now. Alright, so let's catch our second Charmander, and now we only need 1 more. Okay, and just like that, much faster than what the Bulbasaur was, here is our final Charmander. Along with all the Charmander, we got all these other Pokemon, so let's just go ahead and get all of these guys evolved who need evolving. Alright, boom, that's everything we need to get evolved here, so now let's go ahead and slot them in their places. Alright, and this is what our PC now looks like. This first page is starting to look very full, but there's this 3 gap here, which is Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. So we need to head to a river biome to be able to find Squirtle. Now, luckily there is actually just one right here, so we can just head to this one now. Okay, so as you can see, Squirtle, along with a bunch of other water starters, can now spawn in. But what we can actually do to boost our chances is to fish the entire time while we're waiting. To do this, we first need to go ahead and grab ourselves a fishing rod. Then luckily we have a Pokerod upgrade, which is what we're going to need. Now we just need to turn it into a Pokerod like so, and now we can use this to fish up Pokemon. So as you can see, if we pull out the fish nav, we can actually fish up Squirtles as well. It's not going to give a huge boost, but it's going to help us a little bit. But yeah, let's go ahead and catch any counter Pokemon we see, like this Drowsy right here, and then wait around for a Squirtle. Okay guys, I just found out we can actually get Squirtle a lot easier by using fishing bait. To do that, we're going to need 3 types of berries we don't have. So let's head to the shop and see if they sell them there. Okay, they don't, but maybe one of these will be it. Okay, they do have Lum berries, which are one of the ones we need. But we also need 2 other berries. First up, we need a Quallot berry, which we can get by using a Mago and a Roselli berry. And then lastly, we need this Mickle or Mysel berry. I don't know how to pronounce it. And to get that, we need to breed berries, which need to be breeded to get them. This is a whole long process. So you know what? I'm just going to see you guys when I've got all the berries. After a while of trying to figure out the breeding stuff, I finally managed to get Quallot, Lum, and Mickleberry. The Mickleberry makes it easier to basically get Pokemon and makes it quicker. The Lumberry makes it easier to get Pokemon in Squirtle's egg group. And the Quallot Berry attracts Pokemon of the defense EV yields, which is basically what Squirtle is in. Alright, so now let's grab some Podzol. Then just go ahead and place it all down with a brown mushroom so we can bone meal it. Now let's just break this down. And as you can see, we get 15 brown mushrooms. And then grow a bit of wheat as well. And finally, we need to head to the shop and then buy ourselves some honey. And now what we can do is chuck the wheat, honey, and brown mushrooms in. And then in the seasoning, we can season it with Quallot berries, Mickle berries, and Lum berries. And then cook it up. And then that's going to be our Pokebait to hopefully try up our chances of a Squirtle. So let's go put it to use and hopefully find a Squirtle. Alright, as you can see, we managed to catch all 3, along with a bunch of other Pokemon. And once we've evolved these, we've officially got every starter. So let's go ahead and do exactly that, along with evolving everything else we need to. Alright, and these are all the Pokemon we managed to catch while hunting down the Squirtle evolution line. So let's go ahead and put these in their dex order. Alright, and this is what our PC is now looking like. It's looking much more filled up than before. So now we are fully done with all the starters. I think the next batch of Pokemon we should focus on is the fossils. Kanto actually has 3 types of fossils, but we already have one of these fossils. So let's go ahead and revive this thing. As you can see, we have the old Amber fossil. We actually got this when we defeated Giovanni, and this is actually used to resurrect the Pokemon Aerodactyl. So all we have to do is go ahead and put it in this fossil analyzer. Then we need to fill this up with biological matter, and we can use revives to do that. And as you can see, it's now slowly resurrecting an Aerodactyl. Alright, so it is done. So as you can see, the Aerodactyl is right here. So now we just literally have to take any Pokeball. I'm just going to use the Ultra Ball because why not? Right click, and as you can see, Aerodactyl was added to our PC. And here he is at level 1. But there's still 2 more types of fossils we need. The Dome Fossil and the Helix Fossil. And because both the Pokemon out of these are 2-stage evolution lines, we're going to need 2 of each fossil. To actually get these fossils, we need to head to fossil dig sites. And I'm fairly sure this is one right next to our base. All we have to do is take our brush on this suspicious gravel and brush it out. And we got some Vivichoke seeds, but if we keep doing this, we should eventually get fossils. Okay, we finally got a fossil, and this one is a fossilized bird, so that's not what we're looking for. Let's keep repeating that and head to different dig sites. Okay guys, I've just found out by going to specific fossil dig sites, we can actually increase our chance of specific fossils, I think. So starting with the Dome Fossil, let's head to some hydrothermal vents. Alright, I'm not too sure, but I'm fairly sure this might be it. Okay, boom, we got a Dome Fossil. Now we just need 1 more of these. Alright, we're at the second one of these structures, so hopefully we can get a second fossil. Okay, boom, we got the second Dome Fossil. The Dome Fossils are actually used to revive Kabuto, but before we do that, we need to get both of Omanyte's fossils. And the fossil Omanyte comes from is the Helix Fossil, which is apparently most likely in the Sandy Den. So let's make our way to those dig sites. Alright, I'm fairly sure this is it, so let's go ahead and brush this suspicious sand, and hopefully we can get a Helix Fossil. Okay, it looks like unfortunately we got a fossilized dino. And I could be wrong, but from what I've done so far, I'm fairly sure it's limited to 1 fossil per dig site, so it looks like we've got to head to the next one. Alright, we've made it to another Sandy Den, so let's hopefully try get a Helix Fossil. Okay, unfortunately unfortunately, we got another fossilized dino. Okay, guys, I think this is our first Helix fossil. Yep, nice. So now let's keep hunting it until we get our second one. Okay. Wait, yes, I think this is our second Helix fossil. Boom, there we go. We now have all the fossils we need. So I've shown you what the resurrection process looked like earlier, so let's go ahead and repeat that for all of these. Alright, as you can see, we now have every fossil Pokemon we need, so let's go ahead and evolve one of the Ommanites and one of the Kabutos. First up, let's evolve Ommanite into Omastar, and then let's evolve Kabuto into Kabutops. Alright, now everything's fully evolved, let's do the final step of putting them in Dex order. Alright, and just like that, they are all sorted in their Dex order in the 5th box. So now, honestly, what I want to do is I want to have at least one full box. To do that, it's going to be easiest to fill out this first box here. We are literally just missing 8 Pokemon. They are all fairly easy to get as well, so let's go ahead and do just that. I'm fairly sure quite a couple of these Pokemon are going to spawn in this savannah here at spawn, so let's just run around and look for them. Okay, I'm already seeing the first one we need on our mini-map, and that is Ekans. And here is our second Ekans. Now, this isn't one of the Pokemon we're searching for, but there is also a Tauros here, so let's make sure to grab this. To fill out the first box, we actually need a Nidoran female, so we found a Nidoran male. This isn't what we need, but obviously we're still going to need it for the Dex in general, so let's make sure to grab it. Other than the Nidoran female, the only other Pokemon we're waiting for here is a Spearow. But they can only spawn in the day, so let's go ahead and sleep. Now it's day, a Spearow should be able to spawn. Okay, there's unfortunately 2 Fearow here, which is kind of crazy because they are a much rarer spawn than Spearow is, so that's kind of unlucky. But let's go ahead and catch one and then still just wait around for the Spearow. Let's grab this Doduo. Okay, nice. Here's the Spearow we need, so now we're just waiting around for a Nidoran female. Okay, boom. Here's the second Doduo we need. Nice, there's even a Rhyhorn. We're getting quite lucky with all these Kanto Pokemon. Okay, here's our second Nidoran male, and I actually do see a Nidorina over there. Yep, here's a Nidorina. So let's go ahead and catch this. So now, just to fill out that box, we're literally just looking for a Nidoran female. That's the only Pokemon we need. Okay, that didn't take long at all. Here's the Nidoran female we need. But I don't really want to leave any evolution lines unfinished, so we're going to need to look for one more Rhyhorn, along with both a Nidoran female and a Nidoran male. Okay, guys, this Rhyhorn has taken ages to spawn in, but as I was running around, a Terrakion has just spawned in. There it is. Oh my god, no way. Obviously, this isn't a Kanto Pokemon, but we're still going to catch this thing because this is awesome. Look at it. So let's go ahead and initiate our battle. Okay, I was meant to lead with Scizor so we could full swipe it, but that's fine. We can actually use a U-turn here and get out of a Dragapult while doing some damage. Switch into our Scizor. So now let's keep hitting him with false swipes until hopefully he's down to 1 HP. No way, guys. He's just used takedown on me and died to recoil. But it's fine though. Later on in this video, we're going to make up for that because we're going to be catching 5 legendaries. Alright, guys. I have no clue why Rhyhorn is being such a pain, but as you can see, a Kangaskhan has spawned in. And that is honestly crazy. This is quite a rare spawn, so this is very lucky to just add to our decks. And I never realized how cool this guy actually looks in Cobblemon. But without further ado, let's go ahead and catch this guy. Okay, guys, finally we have got ourselves a Rhyhorn. Let's just go ahead and catch this thing quickly. Okay, so now we've got all these Pokemon. Let's go ahead and evolve them all and then put them into their Dex order. Alright, and this is what our PC is now looking like, and as you can see in our first box there's just a 2 gap, and that is Sandshrew and Sandslash, so we need to head to a desert. Okay, here we are, and Sandshrew should be a fairly common spawn, so now let's just wait around for him to spawn in. Okay, while waiting for the Sandshrew, a Lapras has just spawned in. That's another one of those pretty rare Pokemon, so that is such a good one to have. Let's go ahead and go catch this. Okay, admittedly, we're getting a bit sidetracked, but there's also 2 Shelder, which is the perfect amount we need, so let's go ahead and catch both of them. Okay, never mind. Unfortunately, the other Shelder despawned, so let's just go straight back to looking for the Sandshrew. Okay, nice. Here's a Sandslash. Okay, and that is not a Sandshrew, but that is so much cooler. If you guys don't know what this is one of the paradoxes from Gen 9, Raging Bolt. It's Raikou's paradox, a literal legendary. Let's hopefully not mess this up like we messed up Terrakion. So we're going to go ahead and full swipe this thing, and we're going to hit it with one more full swipe, but we're not going to get it to 1% HP just in case if it uses a move with recoil. And now we're just going to chuck Ultra Balls at this thing. Boom, there we go. That is awesome. A Raging Bolt is such a cool Pokemon to have. But now let's just look for this last Sandshrew. And there we go. It's literally just spawned in as I was saying that. I see it right over here. Okay, here we go. So now we just chuck our Pokeball, and this should be the last Pokemon we need for the box to be filled out. And it's a crit capture as well. That's beautiful. Okay, let's waste 0 time. Let's put the Sandshrew and the Sandslash in. There we go. This full box is now completed. That is so cool to look at. Okay, so now we've got all of these Pokemon. I think what we should do is catch the legendaries from this region. There's a total of 5 legendaries, the legendary bird trio and then Mew and Mewtwo. Now because we've already got Mewtwo once, it's going to be really difficult to get it again, so instead of starting on that, I think we should start on the legendary birds. They are very simple to find. I think all we need to do is locate their structure and they will literally just be summoned there. For example, let's start by looking for an Articuno structure, and there we go, one has been found, but it's 4,000 blocks away. These structures are extremely rare, so everyone we locate we're going to have to travel a ridiculous distance for. In fact, there literally wasn't one coming back when I was searching for one from my base or from the shop and from a bunch of other locations. We actually have to get lucky that it's close enough to even detect it. So let's take a 4,000 block journey there. Okay, here we are at the Articuno Tower. So I'm fairly sure when we go in, if we open this barrel, we take this Glacier Feather and we put it in the altar, and an Articuno spawns in. Oh my god. Right, let's waste no time and get into battle with this thing. We're obviously going to use the false swipe method to get this best catch rate we can. Unfortunately, the Articuno does no roost, so it's going to be able to restore its HP every time we false swipe it, but let's just keep on going. It looks like it's going to be a battle of patience. Okay, I finally managed to get it to 1% HP without it using roost again, so let's go ahead and chuck a timer ball at it. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, it is at 8.1% catch rate, so this is probably going to take some time to catch it. Okay, so this is the highest our catch rate is going to get. As it's turn 14, we now have a 4 times catch rate thanks to this timer ball, meaning it's a 10% catch rate to catch this now, so it should only take a good few more Pokeballs and then it should be ours. There we go, boom, we have caught our first Kanto legendary, Articuno. Okay, and to help us catch these legendaries a bit more, let's go ahead and bring Gengar onto our team. What Gengar's going to do is he knows a move called Hypnosis, which puts the Pokemon to sleep, which overall boosts our catch rate. So that's going to be very useful for these next legendaries. So now let's go ahead and see if we can find a Zapdos structure. Nope, as you can see, not found. These structures are incredibly rare. So I'm going to bounce around place to place until I've finally located a Zapdos structure. Alright guys, I managed to locate a Zapdos structure from RTP. It is over 5,000 blocks away, so this is going to be yet another long journey, so let's just get to it and waste no time. Alright guys, as you can see, we have made it to the Zapdos structure. This time, hopefully, our odds of catching it should be a little bit better as we've got Hypnosis on our Gengar. But let's go ahead and do exactly what we did with Articuno. Let's take this Thunder Feather and just summon it in and waste no time. This one is actually 5 levels higher than Articuno, funnily enough. My only fear for the birds is I don't know if they can learn Brave Bird or not, and if they can, they'd be able to do recoil to themselves, which wouldn't be great if they are on 1% HP from false swipe. Okay, it's not very good that I paralyzed my Sizzle, but let's just keep on going with this false swipe. I hope Zapdos also doesn't know Roost like Articuno, because that really did make it a bit annoying to be able to catch. Okay, boom, it's now 1 HP, so let's switch into our Gengar and hopefully put it to sleep. Okay, and it took out our Gengar before we had a chance to put it to sleep. Luckily, we do have 2 max revives on us, so we aren't fully out of this yet. Let's go ahead and max revive our Gengar. So now, hopefully, our Hypnosis doesn't miss. Let's go ahead and put our Zapdos to sleep. Okay, our Timer Ball doesn't have the 4 times catch rate yet, as it's not turned 14, but even without that, it's still a lot higher than the Articuno catch rate, so let's go ahead and catch this Zapdos. Alright, the last of the legendary trio is Moltres, and Moltres' structure actually spawns in the nether. Alright, now hopefully, maybe we can get lucky, and there might be one off spawn. There is 5,000 blocks away, and now traversing 5,000 blocks in the nether is going to be extremely difficult, but I'm going to try and make it happen as quickly as I can. I'll see you when I'm there. Alright guys, admittedly, I almost died a couple times on my way here, but we have actually arrived at the Moltres structure, and this looks insane. There's even lava dripping from the roof onto the structure. It is honestly so menacing. Now, as Articuno was level 55 and Zapdos was level 60. I'm curious to see what level Moltres will be. So let's go ahead and grab the Ember Feather this time. Use it on the altar. And we have summoned in Moltres. This is level 55 like the Articuno. Now Moltres is fire type, so it has a 4 times effectiveness on Sizzle, so I can't guarantee we're going to be able to get it to 1 HP with false swipe. Okay, similarly to Articuno, this Moltres knows Roost, so that is very unfortunate. Oh yep, that was my fear. Wow, it just absolutely decimated me. So let's hope it doesn't roost, because I'm going to switch into Gengar and try put it to sleep. Okay, and it did use roost. Wow, holy, that is unlucky. Okay, we put it fast asleep, so now let's bring back in Scizor and then try get it down to 1 HP like this. And it woke up after 1 turn. This luck is insane. Also, burning halves the attack stat, so that means we're going to do significantly less damage with our false swipe, and it just absolutely decimated our Scizor. Okay, let's put it to sleep and hopefully try get a couple Pokeballs off, and maybe we'll just get lucky. Okay, the ball fell into lava, but we finally caught the Moltres. So as you can see, we now have the full legendary bird trio. That is honestly so awesome and cool, but it leaves us with 2 more Pokemon still to catch. That is Mew and Mewtwo. Okay, so let's start with Mew, because Mewtwo is going to be slightly more complicated because we've already got it once, so to get it again, the steps are a bit more annoying. So to find Mew, we also need to go to a structure. Okay guys, it took a little while from RTPing, but I finally managed to locate a Mew structure, and it's only actually 3,000 blocks away, so let's make our way there. there. Okay, guys, for a minute, I actually thought this jungle temple was it, but if you come around here, I think is the Mew structure. Definitely looks more like it. Okay, I have no clue where the entrance is, so I'm probably just going to break in. Okay, here we are. And here is the altar where we summon Mew, but firstly, we need to find the item for it. There's a couple of cool items here as well, like a Psychium Z, that's really cool. Okay, and here it is, the ancient DNA. See, what we can do with this ancient DNA is we can use it to craft an origin fossil. We need to use an ancient origin ball plus the ancient DNA and 5 fossils. Okay, and we currently have 4 fossils total. So we need to go to a random fossil digging site and get 1 more fossil. Okay, we found this birch tree digging site. Okay, and that was actually quite quick. I think we found the fossil already. Okay, so now we're back in the Mew temple, so let's go ahead and craft it. So we just have to put the fossils in and the ancient DNA underneath the fossils, and the origin ball we got from beating the league, put that on top, and that gives us the origin fossil. And what we can do with this is we can put it on this shrine right here, and there we go, it summons the Mew at level 75. So now let's go ahead and do exactly what we did for everything else, get this down to 1% HP, swap in our Gengar, put it to sleep, and hopefully it catches pretty easily. My friend told me Mew has quite an easy catch rate compared to the bird, so this should be a little bit easier for us. And there we go, the catch rate is 90%, so my friend was not lying when it said the catch rate was a lot better for Mew. So this should honestly catch on the first ball. 1, 2, 3. Nice, there we go. And now all that's left is arguably the strongest legendary of all the Kanto legendaries, Mewtwo. Okay guys, I just realized that I forgot to record like the past 20 minutes. That is so unfortunate, but essentially all I did is I went to a Team Rocket tower, obtained the cloning catalyst by defeating a Tina, and now we just need to head to another Mew temple to obtain some more ancient DNA. These are the 2 items we need to clone a Mewtwo. So without further ado, I've just managed to locate a Mew structure, so let's just head there. Alright, here we are, so let's do exactly what we did last time, and then go ahead and grab this ancient DNA from the chest. So now we've got both the 2 items we need. So essentially with these items, what we do is it's very similar to the fossils. We put both of them in the fossil analyzer like this, and then we have to fill up the tank with revives, and just like that, it's going to start cloning a Mewtwo. And now we have every single Kanto legendary. Alright, and as you can see, I have now put the legendaries in their dex order, and Mew actually has its own entire page because the numbers of the Pokedex just work weirdly with how many Pokemon can be stored in a box. So that is kind of annoying that this whole box is just going to be empty except for a Mew, but the rest of it is looking awesome, so how can you complain that bad? So now I feel like it's a good time to say, if you've enjoyed this video so far, you should subscribe because it's completely free and it helps me out a ton. So I would absolutely really appreciate it. But anyways, now that we've caught the legendaries, we should catch the Pokemon line, which is basically as strong as the legendaries, the Dragonite line. Now I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure Dratinis are found in water caves. So let's go ahead and head down to a cave, and hopefully we can just find a water cave pretty easily. Alright guys, I managed to find a water cave not too far from our base, and as you can see, if I pull out the Pokénav, we can actually get Dratinis, and the odds aren't honestly too bad. Compared to like what the starters are and stuff, these odds aren't terrible, so I guess I'm just going to keep swimming around and try find Dratinis. It's honestly pretty difficult for me to swim through those caves without respiration, so I'm going to try get it. Alright guys, as you can see, we have finally rolled Respiration 3. So now we just need to go defeat some Pokemon for XP, and then we'll actually have it. Okay guys, I fought a couple trainers, so let's go ahead and put this into the enchantment table, and there we go. So now we've got that, let's go ahead and head back to that water cave. Okay guys, I ended up just AFKing in this little bit here, but a Dratini has just spawned in all the way over here. And boom, there we go, we caught our first Dratini, 0 problems. So honestly, maybe I should just get back to AFK and wait for the last 2. Alright guys, as you can see, we caught all 3 Dratinis. So let's go ahead and grab 2 of them, and then head to the shop to buy a bunch of XP candies. We're going to evolve this Dratini into Dragonair, and then this Dratini into Dragonair as well, and then evolve it again into Dragonite. And just like that, we have completed the Dragonite evolution line. So let's go ahead and slot these guys into their slots in the PC, which for some reason is actually after the legendary, so that just goes to show you how powerful they actually are. And boom, this page is honestly almost completed. And while we're in the shop, I honestly need to stock back up on levables because they are the best balls I've used in this challenge to actually catch all the Pokemon, but I'm running low on them. As you can see, I've literally got 1 left. Okay guys, so I think what we're going to focus on now is filling out this second box here. So to do that, the first Pokemon we need to hunt is Clefairy. So to find Clefairy, we need to go ahead and head to some Dripstone caves. Okay, and now we actually need to wait for it to become night. But there are a couple of Pokemon that might spawn around here which we can catch while waiting, such as Zubat or Diglett. Okay, here is the first of 2 Zubat we are going to need, and there are a Lowland Diglett spawning in, but I'm not counting regional variants in this. But luckily for us, I do see a second Zubat on our minimap over here. Okay guys, I'm not getting any luck with Clefairies, but an Onix has just spawned in, so that is a very good find. Alright guys, we've managed to find a level 1 Cleffer. Alright, so now we've caught that, we're just looking for one more. And also I do see a Diglett on our map, so I'm fairly sure that's the last Pokemon other than Clefairy that we are going to need out of these caves. Alright guys, here's the final Pokemon we're going to need to get from this cave, this level 7 Cleffer. Alright, so now we're done in the cave, we need to move on to catching 2 Vulpix. To do this, let's first head to a spruce forest. Okay guys, on the way to the spruce forest, as I was flying over an ocean, this shiny Finneon has spawned in, so that is a huge W. Alright guys, here we are in the spruce forest, so if we go ahead and pull out our Pokénav, we can see Vulpix has got a 1% chance of spawning in. So let's just wait around for 2 of them. Okay, nice. On the beach by the spruce forest, there's a Happiny, which is the pre-evolution of Chansey, a Pokemon we're going to be needing, so let's go ahead and catch this. There's also a Shelder in the ocean over here, so let's go ahead and catch that, because we just need one more Shelder. Alright guys, yet another pre-evolution to one of the Kanto Pokemon. We need Mime Jr. This is obviously going to evolve into Mr. Mime, so let's go ahead and catch this. Okay guys, I can see it on the minimap, our first Vulpix has spawned in. I think the spawn odds are a lot better during the night, so hopefully we can find the second one before it turns day. Okay, it isn't the second Vulpix we need, but this is one of the Pokemon we're going to need to fill out the second box, a Paris, so that is very good to find. Okay, and finally here is the last Vulpix we're going to need. So now that's done, to fill out box 2, all we're going to need is one more Paris and 2 Venonats. For the Paris, we just have to head to a mushroom biome. Okay, we've got to a mushroom biome and they should be unbelievably common. And straight away after landing, I've already seen one, so let's quickly catch it. And no wait, as we were catching a Paris, a shiny Paris has just spawned in. That is actually crazy. Alright, to get the 2 Venonats, we literally just have to head to a swamp biome. Right, and now we just have to wait for it to turn night. Okay, boom, it's now nighttime, so a Venonat should be able to spawn in. Yeah, as you can see there, 2.5% chance. So I think I'm going to go find a bit of a better swamp biome though, as this is tiny, and then catch both the Venonats. Alright, and as you can see, we have now collected all the Pokemon we need. So now I'm going to sell some relic coins for money and get them all evolved. Firstly, let's evolve our Zubat into Golbat. Alright, then let's evolve Cleffa into Clefairy. Then let's give Happiny this Oval Stone, so we can then evolve it into Chansey. We'll give Shelder a Water Stone, so we can then evolve it into Cloyster. Then let's evolve Mime Jr. into Mr. Mime. We can then give Vulpix a Fire Stone to evolve it into Ninetales. We can then evolve our second Cleffa into Clefairy. And then give it our last Moonstone to evolve it into Clefable. We'll evolve one of our Paris into Parasect, and finally evolve one of our Venonats into Venomoth. And just like that, we have got all these Pokemon, so let's go ahead and slot them in their dex order. And just like that, our second box has been completed. So now let's just move swiftly on to our third box. To start to fill this out, let's first do the top row. As you can guess, there's a 3-stage evolution line which goes in these 3 slots here, and that is Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam. The easiest way to get them is to head to a woodland mansion. Alright, here we are at Woodland Mansion, and if we open up our Pokénav, as you can see, Abra can now spawn in 1.63% chance. So now it's just a matter of running around in this mansion until we find all 3 that we need. Okay, our first Abra spawned in, and funnily enough, it wasn't even in the Woodland Mansion, it's actually out here. Okay guys, we got another spawn, but again, it's outside the mansion, so I'm not sure if the mansion's actually working with the Abra spawns or not, but this time it's a Kadabra, so that is pretty cool. Alright guys, I ended up just running around in the dark forest because we were having no luck in the mansion, and we have finally found our third and final Abra. So now we have all 3 of those Pokemon we need. But let's go ahead and take one of the Abras, feed it some XP candies to get it to a Kadabra, and then go ahead and give it this link cable, and then we can evolve it into Alakazam. And now they're in their place, the top row of this box is done. The next evolution line we need to finish is Machop's line. As you can see, we already got 1 Machop, so we're just waiting on 2 more. And all we need to do for Machop is wait at Hills biome during the night. So I know the location of some hills, so let's just head there. Okay, we've arrived in some windswept hills, so now we just have to wait for it to be nighttime. Okay, right, I think it's now nighttime, so if we pull out our Pokénav and go to Common, Machop now has a 0.73% chance of spawning in. Still no luck on any Machops, but we just got lucky with a shiny Meowth, which is quite nice. Okay guys, maybe I was wrong about it happening to be night, because it's just turned day and 2 Machop have actually just spawned in. Okay, this is insane. We went from getting like no Machop to literally 2 within a matter of 30 seconds. Okay, so now let's give them both some XP candies, then evolve both of them into Machoke. Then we can go ahead and craft ourselves a link cable like this to give to one of our Machokes, to then finally evolve that Machoke into a Machamp. Now for our next 2 Pokemon, these Pokemon should be very easy to get. We just have to head to an ocean biome. The Pokemon we are looking for is Tentacool. Okay, nice. This isn't a Tentacool, but this is a Pokemon we're definitely going to be needing. Staryu. Alright guys, we found like a pack of like 10 tentacles, so this is awesome. Let's just go ahead and catch 2 of them. And I also see the second Staryu we need, so let's go over there and grab that as well. So now let's grab 1 of the tentacles and 1 of the Staryus. Give Staryu a water stone. Then we can evolve our tentacle into Tentacruel, and finally our Staryu into Starmie. Alright, and now we need to catch a single stage mon, Farfetch'd. Now Farfetch'd is a bit of a unique spawn. To find him, we first need to find some medicinal leeks, which should spawn naturally in rivers. Okay, I see some just over there. Okay, now I'm fairly sure Farfetch'd literally just have a chance of spawning near medicinal leeks like this. Yep, there we go, 3.72% chance, so it's fairly one of the most common spawns, so now let's just wait around for it to spawn. Okay guys, I'm really struggling to find this Farfetch'd, but luckily enough, a Munchlax has just spawned in. I think that's very, very good for us, because I'm fairly sure Snorlax was gonna be one of the hardest ones to get. Finally, oh my. I don't even know what to say. This was like somehow one of the most annoying Pokemon to get so far. Its spawning mechanics are actually just so like weird, unique. I don't even know. It's just horrible. But finally, we have got our hands on one, so let's waste just 0 time and just catch it. Alright, and finally, there's just 1 evolution line to fill out this box, and that is Seal and Dugong. I think this is going to be a lot easier than Farfetch'd. We just have to head to a frozen ocean. Alright, we're here, and I already see 1 Seal on our minimap. Okay, there we go. It was actually very annoying to find that seal, but here's our first one. All right, now we just need, oh, I already see a second one on the minimap. Actually, I was about to say we just need 1 more, but here it is. Having such an easy evolution line after trying to catch that Farfetch'd for so long is honestly so nice. So let's grab 1 of these seals, grab our XP candies, and then just evolve it into a Dugong. Then after we place this seal, boom, this box is now completely finished. And while we're at it, we may as well evolve this Munchlax. To do that, we need to raise its friendship a bunch, but we can just use XP candies to level it up, as every time a Pokemon levels up, it does get a bit of friendship. And if we have it hold a Soothbell, I'm fairly sure it will get even more friendship. Alright, that costed a lot of money, and we had to get it all the way to level 72, so that probably was not the best method at all, but we managed to get ourselves a Snorlax. So let's sort the Snorlax just before Articuno. And this last box has only got 3 Pokemon left, but before we do that, we first have to do the second to last box, which actually has quite a lot of Pokemon left. And first up on the agenda for this box is the Ghastly line. We do have 1 Ghastly, but we need to get 2 more so we can get Haunter and Gengar. And Ghastly literally spawns in every single nether biome, so let's head to the nether. Alright, here we are, and as you can see, Haunter has a 1.5% chance and Ghastly has a 15% chance. So it's very common to find him, so let's just do a bit of running around and we should find him in no time. Okay, boom, I see a Haunter just over here and it's actually on fire. Holy. Let's quickly catch this thing before it dies to fire. And just like that, that was a very another easy evolution line to finish, as I see the last Ghastly we need just over here. Okay, boom, so let's grab this Ghastly from our PC, level it up to evolve it into a Haunter. Then we need to go ahead and craft another link cable, like so. Put it on this Haunter, and then evolve it into Gengar. And following the trend of easy evolution lines to catch, I think we have another easy evolution line. We need to get ourselves a Cubone and a Marowak. But I take back what I said, this is more of a rarer Pokemon, but it still shouldn't be too bad. So let's just keep on running around until we find 2 Cubones. Alright, here's our first Cubone, and here is our second Cubone. So let's grab 1 of those Cubones, and just evolve it straight into Marowak. That was a very easy 2 Pokemon, but the next 2 Pokemon aren't going to be as easy. We need to catch Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee. And by the way guys, since we're catching every Kanto Pokemon in this video, let me know down in the comments who your favorite Kanto Pokemon is. For me, it's honestly a toss-up between Venusaur and Psyduck. I love them both, but I'd love to hear what yours is. As you can see, both Hitmonchan and Hitmonlee are very, very rare spawns in windswept biomes. They both have a 0.03% chance. Those rates are kind of insane, so I think we're going to have to craft some Pokesnacks for them. To do that, we're going to need a Kelpsie Berry, Chesto Berries, which we can buy from the shop, and then some Chopper Berries, which we're going to need to find in the wild. We should hopefully be able to find them in this Tiger biome. No way, we actually found them that quickly. And now let's plant the Chople and Kelpsie Berry just so we can grow a bit more of them. Alright, boom, now we have a good amount of each. Okay, so now let's get our Miltank out, go ahead and milk it 6 times. Then we can go ahead and go to the shop because they actually grow Vivichoke here, so we can just farm it here. We can also buy honey from the shop. And lastly, we can grow ourselves some hearty grains. Okay, so now we just need to put everything in like that and then season it with these berries. And now as you can see, it attracts attack EVs, fighting types, human like egg group. It also does flying egg group because the one which is human egg group also gives 10 times flying. So now let's go ahead and cook up these Pokesnacks. Okay, I think 4 Pokesnacks should do, so let's go ahead and go back to our windswept hills. So now we just wait for them to bite these Pokesnacks and hopefully we can get some Hitmons from this. Alright guys, we got our first Hitmon, Hitmonlee. Hopefully the next one which spawns in isn't gonna be a Hitmonlee again. That would be super unlucky. Alright guys, finally we have got a Hitmonchan. That took ages of AFK to get both of those guys. Without further ado, let's go ahead and catch this guy. So let's go ahead and slot them right in their positions. Boom. Now to fill out this box, we're just missing one evolution line, and that is the Horsey line. I think they just spawn in any ocean, so I'll see you at an ocean, I guess. Okay guys, we're at what I think is a warm ocean, and as you can see, Horsey's got a 3% chance of spawning in, so we're just gonna swim around and look for them. That's not too rare, so it should happen quite fast. Okay, our first Horsey has just spawned in, so let's waste no time and go ahead and catch this thing. Okay, and just like that, here is our second Horsey. So let's grab the higher level Horsey and feed it a couple XP candies and evolve it into Seadra. And just like that, our fourth box is completed, meaning we just have this last box to complete, and there's only 3 Pokemon to fill in. And first up is Jinx, which we can basically find in any snowy biome during the day. Alright, here we are, and not only can Jinx spawn in with a 0.09%, but its pre-evolution and its Smoochum can spawn in with about a 0.5% chance. Alright guys, I see it on my mini-map, a Jinx has just spawned in. There it is. It's honestly quite lucky to actually get a Jinx and not its pre-evolution Smoochum, so let's go ahead and catch this thing as quick as we can. And next up, this slot belongs to Magmar. For the next Pokemon Magmar, we need to head to the Nether, because its pre-evolution Magby is like one of the most abundant Pokemon in the Nether. Okay, literally within 5 seconds of entering the Nether, a Magby has already spawned in right here, so let's go ahead and catch this thing. Okay, boom, so now we just need to take it and feed it some XP candies, and then we can evolve it into Magmar. So now there's just one final Pokemon left, and that Pokemon is Porygon. So to get Porygon, we first need to head into the End Dimension. And now, as you can see, it's a 3.5% chance to spawn, so we just gotta run around until we find it. And just like that, there it is. That was pretty quick to find. Never mind, we did not get lucky with our final Pokemon. It literally just killed itself with recoil. That is perfect. Okay, but it's fine because I see a second Porygon on my minimap just over here. Alright, hopefully we have a bit better luck with this one and it doesn't die to its own move. Okay, so let's go ahead and chuck a Dust Ball at it and pray that our final Pokemon catches. And it's a crit capture for our final Pokemon. That is perfect. So let's go ahead and grab it and slot it right into its position. And just like that, we have filled out every single box. That means we have completed our goal of catching every Kanto Pokemon. As you can see, if we pull out our Pokedex, there isn't a Pokemon in the first 151 without this little Pokeball icon next to their name. Just scrolling through each of these Pokemon in Dex order in my PC is honestly beautiful. So if you guys enjoyed and want to see more, please like and subscribe. And let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me do this for Generation 2 as well. See you in the next one. Today I'm going to become a Gigantamax trainer in my hardcore Cobblemon world. To do this, I'll have to build an overpowered Gigantamax team, then test its strength against the Kanto champion. On top of that, I'll have to catch every legendary capable of Gigantamaxing, including Eternamax Eternatus. How exactly will I achieve all of this? Watch until the end to find out. Alright guys, so to start, we first need to actually unlock the power of Gigantamaxing. To do that, there's a couple items we need to get hold of, mainly a Wishing Star and Max Mushrooms. So first up, to get the Wishing Star, we need to head to a specific structure known as a Wishing Well. So let's just do exactly that. Okay, so this is what the Wishing Wheel looks like. As you can see, it's in a dark forest, and if we come to the middle here, we should just be able to mine this crystal, and as you can see, we get ourselves a Wishing Star. There's also a little chest here which gives us some XP candies and a Zygarde cell. Now we need to get another one of these Wishing Stars, because one is going to be used for a power spot we need and one is going to be used for our Dynamax band. Okay, here is our second Wishing Wheel, so we can go ahead and do the exact same thing, mine this crystal in the middle, and we could also take all the good loot out of this chest. And now we've got both the Wishing Stars we need already. Now the other main item we're going to need is Max Mushrooms. These are going to be used to craft our Dynamax candy and the actual G-Max soup, which will give the power of Gigantamax into our Pokemon. So to find these mushrooms, we need to head to a lush cave. Alright, as you can see, we've made it to a lush cave, and now we need to run around until we find these little pink mushrooms on the ground, and I'm fairly sure they are pretty rare, so we're gonna have to get quite lucky here. Okay, nice, we managed to actually find the Max Mushrooms. It took a little while and they are actually quite rare, but we managed to find them in the end, so let's go ahead and grab these, and then from the shop let's go ahead and buy a bunch of bone meal. And now let's go ahead and dig out a hole, place a moss block, and put the Max Mushroom on top of it, and now we can literally just bone meal this for infinite Max Mushrooms. Alright guys, so I used a couple stacks of bone meal, and as you can see, we got over 2 stacks of Max Mushrooms. That should hopefully be more than we'll ever need. So now we basically have all the items we need to find in structures. So let's go ahead and combine these items into the items we actually need to power our Dynamax and Gigantamax. The first main step is obviously crafting this Dynamax band. So we need to go ahead and collect 3 blue apricorns, 3 pink apricorns, and 2 iron. We can just grab the blue apricorns from our little apricorn farm over here, and we should actually have the pink apricorns we need in our chest. And let's go ahead and grab the 2 iron we're going to need as well. Then we can layer the pink apricorns on the top, blue apricorns on the bottom, 2 iron either side, and a wishing star in the middle. And now we've got our Dynamax band. So let's go ahead and slot this in our Dynamax slot right here. And now we need to make this power spot. If you haven't played the Gen 8 games, a power spot creates an area where you are able to Dynamax your Pokemon. So essentially, wherever we want to Dynamax our Pokemon, we're going to have to be able... So essentially, wherever we want to Dynamax our Pokemon, we're going to have to bring this with us. So to craft it, we're going to need to grab 3 stone from our chest, and then just 4 redstone. And we have all the other items we need in our inventory. So let's go ahead and put the items in like this, with a max mushroom on top, and boom, we have got our power spot. And the last item we need is a max suit. But we're going to save that until we actually get the Pokemon we want to Gigantamax. So I think first things first, let's build an overpowered Gigantamax team. So I've got an idea for an insane team we need to build. So let's go ahead and do that. So the first Pokemon we need to catch is Grookey, because we can evolve this into Rillaboom, which has an awesome Gigantamax. So to do that, we need to head to a jungle biome. Right, here we are in a jungle, and if we pull out our Pokénav, as you can see, Grookey's got a 0.02% chance of spawning in, and he can only actually spawn on leaves. So let's go ahead and run around until we get a Grookey spawn on one of these trees. Alright guys, I can see his little head poking over the tree there. There is a Grookey here. In my last video where I caught every counter Pokemon, I honestly found out starters are way more rare than I thought. So finding this Grookey as quick as that is honestly kind of a blessing. Alright, boom, the Grookey has been caught. The next Pokemon for this team is going to be G-Max Gengar. But if you can't already see, then we literally already have him on our team, so we're not going to need to go anywhere to catch this guy. We have him right here with us already. For the next Pokemon, we do need to set out to catch, and I think we actually need to head to a Dark Oak Forest to do exactly that. Alright, we've made it to a Dark Forest, and the Pokemon we're searching for is an Impidimp, which evolves into Grimmsnarl. And literally, as I was saying that, running around, an Impidimp has just spawned in, so let's waste no time. Let's find this thing. Here he is. So let's initiate battle with our Scizor and catch this thing. Okay, boom, we caught the Impidimp, so let's move on to the 4th member of our overpowered team. And that is going to be Machamp. Okay, we've arrived in some hills biomes, and as you can see, Machop can now spawn in with about a 1% chance. Okay, here we go. We have found the Machop, and they didn't really cause us too many problems. So let's get this down to 1% HP like everything else, chuck a level ball, and it should be a guaranteed catch. There we go, boom, that's our 4th member of the team. Alright, the next Pokemon is probably going to be a bit of a rarer one compared to the last couple, and that's because we're going to get ourselves a Lapras. So as you can see, we've came to a frozen ocean biome, as this is where Lapras spawns. So let's go ahead and go to the uncommon bucket. And now, as you can see, Lapras has got a 0.25% chance to spawn in. So that's a lot rarer than the last ones, but if we run around for a little while, we should eventually be able to find it. Alright guys, after a little while of running around this frozen ocean biome, we have finally found ourselves a little Lapras. So let's hopefully go ahead and catch this guy absolutely no problem. There we go, we got ourselves a critical capture. Boom. So with that caught, there's only one member of our team left, and we are definitely missing a fire type. So I'm going to get us a Roly-Coly to evolve it into a Colossal. Alright guys, we've arrived in the Dripstone Caves, which is where Roly-Coly spawns, and already I can see a Carkol, I think that is, which is Roly-Coly's evolution, so that is absolutely amazing. Now we just have to bridge all the way over there. Actually, what am I saying? We literally have flying Pokemon on our team. Okay, so now after we throw this Pokeball, this is the last member we need for our team. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get them all out of our box. And now we need to evolve them all. So to do that, I'm first going to AFK at our Gimmighoul farm to get some money, and then we can buy a bunch of XP candies from the shop to level them all up. Alright guys, I AFK'd at the Reliquin farm for a very long time, so let's see how far these candies get us. Alright, let's absolutely feed Grookey first, and then we can evolve him into Thwackey and again into Rillaboom. We can do the same thing for Impidimp, then for Machop. But for Machop, we're going to need to do something different. We're going to need to grab 2 copper, 2 quartz. Then we need to buy an ender pill from the shop. Finally, we can combine that all in a crafting table into a linking cord, feed it to our Machoke, and then evolve it into Machamp. Then let's just absolutely feed Carkol with XP candies and evolve him into Colossal. So now all our team is fully evolved. Let's go ahead and see how far these XP candies get us in terms of their levels. Alright, so all those XP candies and more only got our Rillaboom and almost our Grimmsnarl to level 100, but our whole team needs to be level 100 if you want to even consider to call this team strong. So I guess I'm just going to have to keep repeating the process of AFKing at my farm and leveling these guys up. Alright, and just like that, we have got every Pokemon we need to level 100. And I will say they all look awesome, but I don't know why Rillaboom is so small. I feel like he is meant to be a lot bigger than this. Anyways, now we need to actually give them the power of Dynamaxing. Okay, so to make them capable of Gigantamaxing, we first need to grab ourselves some bowls. So let's go ahead and craft them just like this. So let's head over to our camping pot, put the bowls in like this, and then put max mushrooms all along the top. And now we can close the camping pot, and it's going to cook us up a bunch of max soup. Alright, and just like that, all 8 max soups are done. So now we simply just need to throw out each of our Pokemon and give them each a max soup. And as you can see, as I give them it says at the bottom of my screen, your Pokemon can G-Max now. So now they all have the power to Gigantamax. And if we go ahead and place a power spot, which basically gives the area the power of Dynamaxing, and throw out one of our Pokemon, and then we can go ahead and fight a random wild Pokemon. As you can see, we have this button down here to Dynamax. So let's go ahead and click that and choose a random move. And as you can see, our guy will grow and become a G-Max Rillaboom. That is honestly awesome. So let's go ahead and try this with one more Pokemon. You know what? Let's try out G-Max Gengar. Oh my, that is a huge Pokemon. All right, that is honestly awesome. Let's go ahead and pick this power spot back up though, because we're going to need to be able to take this with us. And now we need to make our team a bit more overpowered. So the first step of doing that is to give our Pokemon each Dynamax candy. So let's go ahead and head to the shop, because there's a couple things we need to buy. Essentially, we need to buy as many of these as we can. Let's just go ahead and buy like 80, and then put our max mushrooms in the crafting table surrounded by these small candies. And boom, we get Dynamax candies. And what this does is it enhances the strength of Pokemon when they're Dynamaxed. So let's throw out our Rillaboom, and we can just feed him these. And as you can see, the max level is 10, so this is only going to get 2 of our Pokemon to the max Dynamax level. So I need to go get some more money and do this a couple more times. All right, and just like that, here's the last 40 Dynamax candies we need. So let's go ahead and feed these into our Pokemon. And now they're all at their max Dynamax level, meaning they're at their maximum Gigantamax potential. But the last thing we need to do is to refine their battle strength a little bit more. And to do that, we're going to need to get them a perfect nature, which will boost their stats, and good held items, which will make them just even more battle capable. So we have our mint farm right here, which can help change natures of our Pokemon. So let's go ahead and grab all the mints we're going to need. Okay, so first up, we need to grab ourselves an adamant mint for our Rillaboom, and do the exact same thing for our Grimmsnarl, and one last time for our Machamp. Then we're getting ourselves a modest mint for our Colossal. And finally, we just need to get ourselves a timid mint for our Gengar. Now let's go ahead and get all our held items. So we can start by giving a Life Orb to our Rillaboom, then a Choice Band to our Grimmsnarl. Then we can go ahead and give our Machamp the Assault Vest. We then need to craft ourselves some heavy duty boots by grabbing some obsidian, 2 pieces of iron, and then 4 pieces of leather. Turn that leather into some boots, and then put the obsidian and iron like so. And then we can give these heavy duty boots to Colossal. Right, we then need to craft a weakness policy, so let's grab fermented spider eye, some sugar cane to turn into paper, and then we can head to the shop to buy an ink sac, a feather, and some gunpowder. We then simply combine that in a crafting table and give that one to Lapras. And then finally, the last Pokemon, our Gengar, we can give this Focus Sash. And now our team is absolutely fully decked out. So before we move on to completing the rest of the requirements to make us a Gigantamax trainer, let's first test our team against the Kanto champion to see if the strength can really hold up. Okay, here we are eye to eye with Blue, the champion, yet again. Let's place this power spot to make sure we can Dynamax. And I know for a fact he's going to lead with Zapdos. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Colossal to the front. And now let's go ahead and take on Blue. Alright, I don't think I want a Gigantamax off rip, so we're going to save it. Let's just go ahead and try a Power Gem. Okay, that did some okay damage. It's not perfect. Let's just go ahead and set up Stealth Rock, because I think Colossal is going to die here. And there's actually a Pheromosa which has just spawned in and is just chilling on the battlefield. But unfortunately, I have bigger fish to fry right now, Pheromosa. Okay, nice. So we managed to set up some Stealth Rock, so I think our Colossal is just going to go down here. That's absolutely fine, though. I'm going to make a play here. We're going to bring in our Gengar. We're going to go G-Max, and we're going to hit a G-Max Terror. Okay, boom. We took out the Zapdos just like that. That is beautiful. And now he brings in Articuno. Let's just go over another G-Max Terror. And boom, we one-shot the Articuno as well. Gengar has proven to be very good here. Okay, so now there's a Mew. I think this might be where our run ends, but we're going to try go with another G-Max Terror. And unfortunately, we did lose out there. That's fine, though. That was a very decent run off of our Gengar. Let's bring in our Grimmsnarl. And let's go ahead and hit a Sucker Punch, actually. Okay, but he actually swapped into Venusaur. That's quite unfortunate. Okay, we're going to want to switch out here. Let's just maybe bring in our Lapras. And he absolutely drained our Lapras, but because we have weakness policy, that's going to boost our special attack. And now we're going to go with an Ice Beam and one-shot the Venusaur. Okay, that was a very good play by us. But I unfortunately think this Mew is definitely, going to finish us off. That's fine, though. Now we can bring in our Rillaboom, and let's just hit it with a knockoff. I don't know why I brought in our Rillaboom. I completely forgot it had Temper Flare. But it's fine. We one-shotted it, luckily. Okay, good. And now we're bringing in Moltres, which is not good at all. We can try hit another knockoff, but unfortunately it outsped and one-shot us. Our only hope here is Grimmsnarl. So let's go ahead and just hope that he can pull through. I think Sucker Punch could be the play here. We've got it down to 3% HP, and it just used Brave Bird, so it killed itself in confusion. Okay, but now it brings in Ditto. Okay, let's go ahead and go with Sucker Punch. And unfortunately, Play Rough destroyed us. This isn't good. It's Choice Banded into a Fairy move, which is 2 times effective against us. We could go for Double Edge and potentially KO, but I don't think that would work. But I think the best play here is actually going to be to revive someone. And because it's locked into a Fairy move, let's go ahead and revive Gengar. Oh my, I did not expect that. We actually managed to survive the Play Rough. Okay, we may as well try go for a damaging move then. Okay, no, did not work. Okay, so here's our last hope. Okay, apparently I didn't think this through very well. None of Gengar's moves are actually very good against this Grimmsnarl. So I think we're going to try a Hypnosis strat and try put it to sleep. Okay, our Hypnosis missed. That is unfortunate as hell. We're going to try another Hypnosis. Come on. Okay, there we go. It fell asleep. So now we're going to try keep on Shadow Balling it, and hopefully it doesn't wake up early. Okay, he used a full restore, so he is also using healing items. So let's go ahead and try another Hypnosis now. Okay, we got him asleep again. If he uses another full restore, I swear. Okay, we actually managed to lower his special defense as well. That is perfect. And his special defense lowered again. One more Shadow Ball. Okay, he used full restore again. But I think that's honestly fine because we've lowered its special defense twice now. One more Shadow Ball should finish this guy off. And boom, there we go. We have defeated him. So we have successfully proven the strength of our Gigantamax team as we have defeated Blue first try. Let's go ahead and pick back up our power spot. As now we need to catch every legendary that has the power of Gigantamaxing. Okay, so now let's move on to catching all the Gigantamax legendaries. To start, we can get Urshifu. To do that, we're going to need to hunt its pre-evolution Cubfu, and that's found in Cherry Grove biomes. Alright, here we are in a Cherry Grove biome, and if we open up our Pokénov and go all the way to Ultra Rare, then as you can see, a Cubfu and an Urshifu both have a chance to spawn in. But as you can see, it's a 0.01% chance. And that means it will take like literally thousands of Pokemon spawns just to get a Cubfu. That is not worth it at all, but a way we can boost these odds is by using Pokesnacks. They are pretty simple to craft. We need to grab ourselves some hearty grains, some honey bottles, some milk, a Vivichoke, and then we can put that all together in a campfire pot like this, and as you can see, that makes a Pokesnack. But here we can put seasonings, which are basically different berries which boost different odds of types of Pokemon, the rarity of Pokemon, and the egg group of Pokemon. So we can put specific berries in there to boost our odds of getting Cubfu and Urshifu. We have both the berries we need in this chest, so let's go ahead and grab some Kelpie berries and some Chople berries. The Kelpie berry will attract Pokemon which give attack EVs, which Cubfu does, and the Chople berry will attract fighting types. So we can go ahead and bake this into a Pokesnack. So as you can see, it attracts attack EV yields and a 20% chance for fighting types. Okay, so as you can see, I made a total of 6 Pokesnacks. So if you right click the Pokestack with the Pokenav in hand, we can see that both the spawn odds of Cubfu and Urshifu combined is 0.5%. That means 1 in every 200 spawns around about will be a Cubfu or Urshifu. And there's going to be a total of 54 Pokemon spawns from these Pokesnacks, so we might not get one out of these, but if we don't, I'll keep making more and keep waiting around for a Cubfu to spawn. Okay guys, I'm slowly coming to the realization that these Pokesnacks honestly just aren't probably going to get us even 1 Cubfu, and we actually need 2 because Urshifu has 2 G-Max forms. So there is one way we can improve it, and that is by using God Apples. But we have none to our name, but the best way to get them is probably going to be by looting ancient cities. So let's just head to an ancient city and see if we can find any. Alright, here we are in an ancient city, so now let's just loot all these chests and hopefully we come across at least 1 God Apple. Guys, no way, none of the chests had them, but this one literally has 2 in 1 chest. That is insane. So now instead of using 2 Chople berries, we can use one of the enchanted golden apples instead. Okay, so as you can see, we've got both the Pokesnacks, so if you place them down like this and check the odds, as you can see, both Cubfu and Urshifu both have a 6% chance to spawn in. So now we just have to AFK for it. Alright guys, we managed to get our first Cubfu, and it was after about 9 bites of the Pokesnacks, and we still have over that left, so we should be able to get the second Cubfu. Let's go ahead and waste no time and catch this thing. Alright, nice. That is the first Cubfu caught, so let's get back to AFKing. Alright guys, not too many bites of the Pokesnack later, we have got ourselves our second Cubfu. So let's waste no time to catch this thing. Okay, boom. So now we have both the Cubfus. We need to evolve them into Urshifu. But as I mentioned earlier, Urshifu actually has 2 separate forms, both each with their own Gigantamax. One of these forms need a Water Scroll, and the other one needs the Darkness Scroll. Now, the way we get the Water Scroll is by brushing suspicious sand in warm ocean ruins. And the way we get the Darkness Scroll is by brushing suspicious sand in a desert pyramid. Honestly, the desert pyramid one sounds a little bit easier, so let's focus on that first. Now, I'm not exactly sure how rare it is, but if we just brush this odd-looking sand here, there's a chance we can get the scroll we need. Okay, so I'm not sure if this patch of like suspicious sand here was the only one, but it's the only one I can seem to find. As you can see, I dug through a lot of the rest of the pyramid, so it looks like we're gonna have to go through a couple pyramids to find this item. Oh wait, I think this might be the scroll. Nice, there we go, we got the Scroll of Darkness. On top of getting that, we also got a reveal glass, which is for Tornadus, Landorus, and Thundurus, I think, and a prison bottle for Hooper. Alright, so now we've got that, let's go ahead and throw out one of our Cubfus. give it the Scroll of Darkness, and now we'll literally be able to evolve it into Urshifu. Alright, here we are at our first Warm Ocean Ruin, so let's see if we can get lucky on our first one, although we probably won't. Alright, maybe I manifested it, but yep, we got absolutely nothing from that. So let's keep heading to different Warm Ocean Ruins and see if we can get lucky. Yep, I think we got the scroll. Boom, there we go, Scroll of Waters. So now let's go ahead and pull out our second Kubfu from our PC, give it this scroll, and then evolve it. So as you can see on the left-hand side over here, they are both standing in different stances and have different typings. But these guys don't just take regular Gmax soup. We need to make ourselves sweet Gmax soup. To do that, we first need to create max honey, and we can combine them in a crafting table like this to get max honey. Now we just need to open our campfire pot, put our max mushrooms and bowl like this, but then out the top put the max honey, and as you can see, it's going to get us sweet max soup. Alright, so now we've got two. Let's throw both of our Urshifus out and give them the sweet max soup. So now let's go ahead and see what these guys look like when they're G-maxed. Alright, here is the first one. As you can see, he is red and he honestly looks super, super cool. And then here is the second one. In my opinion, this one does look a little bit better, but they are both super, super cool. So before we move on to Eternamax Eternatus, let's first get Melmetal out of the way. 2 episodes I managed to actually catch a Meltan, so there's one just chilling in my PC, so let's bring it on our team. And what we need to do is we need to get this guy to level 70 and give him an anvil, and he will be able to evolve into Melmetal. So to do that, let's sell loads of relic coins from our farm here and get some XP candies and level this guy up. Alright, so let's feed him this last XP candy, and he is now able to evolve into Melmetal. And Melmetal's not very special, we just have to give it the max soup and it can now Gigantamax. This poor Meowth can be our victim here. So let's go ahead and Dynamax him and use G-Max Meltdown. And oh my, this guy is huge. This is definitely the biggest Gigantamax we have had yet. That is awesome. Now we just need to move on to get an Eternamax Eternatus. Essentially, the way we get Eternatus is there's a structure in the end called the Eternatus Cocoon. And the way we awaken him from that cocoon is by mining 500 of these particles here. So let's do exactly that. Alright guys, as you can see, my inventory is very messy, but we managed to get just under 8 stacks of Galar particles, which comes out to about 500. And that is the amount we need to summon Eternatus, so we managed to get that in the end, although it did take a little while. So now, let's go ahead and head to the end. And now we just need to locate the Eternatus Cocoon. Alright guys, here we are at the Eternatus Cocoon. Alright, so I right-clicked it and all my particles have been took. Alright, boom, the Eternatus has been summoned, so now we need to initiate battle with this thing, but it's huge. Alright, and the catch on this Eternatus is guaranteed, so let's just chuck this dust pool, and boom, we have got the Eternatus. But now we need to actually Eternamax him, and to do that, we need a special item called the Star Core. Okay, so first things first, we need to go ahead and grab 4 obsidian out of our chest. And now we need to talk to this guy who sells the gems, and we need to buy ourselves 2 poison gems. And now if you remember earlier on in this video, we had to head to a structure called the Wishing Wheel to find a wishing star. So we need to head to another one of those because this item requires another one. Alright, here we are at one, and we just need to mine this little thing in the middle. And there we go, we have got our wishing star. So now with all these items, we very simply combine them in a crafting table like this. And boom, we can take our Star Core. So now let's go ahead and grab our Eternatus out of the PC and let it hold our Star Core. Oh my, that thing is massive. I need to enter free cam to even fully see this thing. It absolutely dwarfs my entire base. This thing is awesome. I was not expecting it to become Eternamax outside of battle. Holy. Let's go ahead and test him on a random Pokemon like this level 9 Zigzagoon. Alright, let's use a flamethrower, and oh my god, that is so overkill. So that now means we have collected every possible legendary that can Gigantamax. And we successfully built a Gigantamax team that could take on the Kanto champion. So overall, we have definitely completed our goal of becoming a Gigantamax trainer. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe as it helps a lot and it's completely free. Alright, see you in the next one.